So, all right, I think we're live. Welcome to another Plan A live stream.
Everyone hit subscribe.
Yes, everyone subscribe
Yep.
to us on YouTube, like the video, share, all that stuff. And we have special guest and longtime friend of the podcast, Millie. Millie, how you doing?
Hey
Hi,
guys. Hey everyone. Great to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I think today we're just going to talk about all sorts of stuff, but we wanted to talk about media, movies, TV, I think crypto, because you've just gotten into crypto, right, Millie?
Oh my God, yeah.
And Teen has thoughts about crypto, so.
I'm sure Teen does.
And so we just wanted to, whatever you guys want to talk about. So Millie, if you maybe people don't know you or don't know anything about you, so maybe if you just want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Hey guys, I'm Millie. Been a friend and an avid follower of Plan A for I would say the last 3 years or so. I got involved because I retweeted. I just came onto Twitter pretty late, like in 2018, and I retweeted an article of Chris's and started reading everything that he wrote. And he very kindly reached out and said we should catch up and have coffee. And so we've been friends ever since. And he introduced me to everyone. And I consider myself really lucky because I've just learned a lot from being
lucky.
a part of this group.
We're the lucky ones.
Trust me, I'm the lucky
Yeah.
one.
Where did we go to first? Was it Mud for coffee?
Yeah, I think so. It was Mud.
This was back when you could actually do that.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
In the before times.
Yeah, and so one thing led to another, and then Millie and I were pod buddies last year. It's been a wild, crazy ride.
That's
Yeah.
right. LA pod, quarantine pod buddies.
Yeah.
We should say, because I was in LA
Yeah.
for a while, and Jess and I got to hang out for a good 6 months. It was
God, that was
the best
that
6
looked
months
really.
of my life.
That was the Gloria days of your IG. Every day looked really nice.
Yeah, no. I love LA.
Millie,
I
feel
miss it.
like these days every day you're posting a picture of like you out at a park somewhere or some kind of wildlife reserve. It seems like you're enjoying the outdoors.
Yeah.
Well, there's some great parks up where
you
you live, Millie, right?
Yes, that's true. I live in Upper Manhattan now, up in Washington Heights. And
I was
there's
there
so
like
many
3
good
weeks
parks
ago.
out here.
Yeah, and that's where I
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
live too, so I know all about it.
There's Fort Tryon and Inwood Park, and there are also places up in the Bronx that I like. And I think like one thing that I've been trying to do more of, that I've learned to do more of during the pandemic, is be outside more. I'm not really much of an outdoorsy type, but I find that working from home and then like having to take a walk outside just to get some exercise has forced me to be outside, which makes me feel good in ways that I didn't realize it would.
Yeah.
Millie, I'm the exact opposite. The pandemic has made me stay indoor. In fact, there are certain days if not for smoking, I would not go outside.
Well, see, that's the thing, right? Exactly. Like I spend
What kind of outdoor activities do you
90%
enjoy?
of my time, like in one place. Taking
I don't even smoke, and I just stay
not
indoors.
walking at all. But I find that if I don't get outside at all, I start to go a little stir crazy after a while.
That's true.
It
Yeah,
kind of
being
sounds
outside
like
is really good.
it sounds like you're kind of like begrudgingly accepting the positives of like going outdoors more.
Exactly. I mean, it's just too easy to get sort of
Oxygen, what?
I know, right? Fresh air, sunshine.
What?
What is this? Ugh.
Wind? What?
You should see this house we rented though. It's pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be nice.
It's really nice.
How close to the river is it?
It's not that one. It's a different one. It's by a lake up in 2/3 of the way up to like Albany.
Nice.
What do you mean? Isn't it the one that you sent the photos of, or you sent
Yeah.
the listing for?
Well, there's that one that like actually was like on the Hudson, and then there's another one that's like on a lake, and I booked the one on the lake. Yeah,
okay,
it's a nicer.
so we're gonna
house.
be on a lake. Okay.
Yeah, the house is
okay.
like far nicer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just nice to be near water sometimes, no matter whether you're gonna go in it or not. It's just nice to like look over it.
Well, the listings
Millie-
you sent look awesome, so you know.
Yeah.
Millie, did you
Can't
say
go
like
wrong.
what you do? Like, like you're a director and writer and all that.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I happen to be a filmmaker. I live in New York. I also work in advertising. But when I'm not, busy at my day job, I also make films. I write and direct and also produce. Right now, I'm actually producing a short for our friend M2Mate Gant, who is another
right.
Very nice.
And
friend
we will
of the pod.
We will get into May on the live stream at some point too.
Yeah, that would be great. M2Mate's the best. And he wrote this script for this short that I just thought was so... it's very M2Mate, he's...
Yeah.
He's so smart and so badass, We frequently exchange scripts and ideas and stuff, and I told him, like, this is just so funny and fucked up, and I want to do whatever I can to help you get it out into the world. So we're going to be shooting in June.
Awesome.
And right now
in New York?
In the city, and then also upstate. It'll be like a 3-day shoot, and so we're kind of in the thick of pre-production now. But wish me luck, should be good.
Yeah.
It should be great.
What does that even mean? Like, what does pre-production mean?
Well, it's just everything that's involved in getting ready for the actual shoot, and getting ready for like what we would call production, which is when you're actually on set and filming. And in order to get to that place, you kind of like a million, big and small decisions need to be made. Money needs to be spent. Crew needs to be booked. Actors need to be cast. Funds need to be secured. Oh, good, Jess is back.
Yeah, sorry.
So,
Okay.
Typically it takes at least a minimum of a few weeks, if not a few months, to kind of pull everything together. In this case, we're a very small production. I think it's going to be like a crew of about 10 people and then a cast of about 7. And we're only shooting for 3 days, which is, relatively speaking, not very long.
Yeah, that seems very short.
Yeah. It's only like a 10-minute film. But there are, like some, I don't know, every project has like special concerns, you know what I mean? So we're just kind of figuring out a lot of like logistic details right now. And there are also some creative details too that, obviously M2Mate is going to be working on. But, I'm doing things like helping, hire crew and, get permits from the town that we're going to be shooting in, trying to figure out like how to transport the cast and the crew to the location.
Right. Right.
Figuring out the budget for the whole thing, like how much money do we actually have, how will we allocate the funds?
All of the really important but potentially boring things that people don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's like the nuts
exactly.
and bolts where it's like the non-sexy part of filmmaking.
Right. I mean, indie producing, I just always tell people like being a producer sounds like, a high, like a, esteemed position, but which it sort of is, but you're also the one taking out the trash, like literally taking out the trash on set,
Doing the dirty work.
doing all the dirty work. I'll also be assistant directing, which means, I'll be, how do I even describe this role? Sort of making sure that the crew, I'll be directing the workflow on set. So that should be kind of intense, but it'll be fun. It'll be great to be back on set, after all this time. And of course, like COVID is a really big deal with this too, because, we want to make sure that everyone is safe and feels
Right.
safe.
Right.
We have like what's called a COVID compliance officer on board.
Oh, really?
It's
So
just-
that's a new job, I would assume, right?
Yeah,
People,
yeah.
that was not something.
Wow, so it's an
Exactly.
actual
Totally
like job
new
you have to
job now.
allocate budget for, not
CCO,
like
baby.
not like a thing
Yeah.
you can just kind
Chief
of.
COVID officer. CCO.
Yeah.
Exactly. In this case,
Part of me is happy, but part of me also is a little annoyed that this is yet just another avenue for like the city to make a little bit more money off of small strapped producers. You know what I mean?
Right, right. I mean, it wouldn't be. We probably wouldn't be able to afford one, but Entume has a friend who
Oh, okay.
happens to be one, so he's donating his time.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
it kind of
That's
worked
cool.
out. But yeah, like I mean, on top of all the usual like logistic problems and the hustle involved in pulling a shoot together, we also have to think about COVID. But hey,
I wonder what
whatever.
they do. Like, is he just gonna be on the side, like, hey, 6 feet apart? Like, what's gonna?
Yeah. Well,
gonna
he and I
happen?
already connected. He
You just have a
gave
pole
me-
that's 6 feet long and be like,
Yeah, exactly. Or like one of those like measuring
Middle school dance.
tapes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, he gave me a bunch of stuff that I could give to the union, like to SAG, to demonstrate that we're like going to be going about this shoot in the right way. We'll have PPE on set. They're also there are all these technical issues, like you have to have different zones for the actors and the crew. So there's like zone A and zone B.
really?
It's I don't, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare, but we'll figure it out.
Is it
Well-
because like actors are the ones that have to be like potentially maskless?
They're the most
makes
vulnerable
sense.
on set because they can't wear masks when we're filming.
Yeah. Okay.
Were they priority people when it came to the vaccines? I mean, now I think New York City is kind of easy to get it, but were they one of the like like if you could put down your job, was actor a priority job or not?
I doubt it. I don't know. And if they were, I
wasn't-
would think that was bullshit. Like,
It wasn't in LA. It was made very explicit. But it was kind of weird because like it seemed like a lot of people who worked on set would be considered essential and were therefore prioritized for vaccine access, but not like actors, like performing actors. I could be wrong, but it seemed like a weird thing to see in the
Okay.
scheduling.
So you were saying that like the camera people, the mic grips, like other sort of
Yeah.
those sort of like stage people were priority, but not the actors.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but it
weird.
just seemed like a weird wrinkle.
That is, that's like a weird thing.
But not. A lot of
I
people
think
complained,
somebody's
so-
headphones are very loud. I hear like a slight like echo. I think so. Just wanted to say that. All right. Anyway, yeah.
The chances.
me?
Well,
No, you're okay.
are you sure? Okay.
one insight on why stagehands might be considered like a good candidate to get vaccinated early is that they are often working on multiple different sites.
Yeah.
So if somebody's going to be spreading it around, it'll likely be them.
Yeah, and no, nobody was complaining. It made a lot of sense for why like staff members, I don't know, crew members, is that the right term for them? Why they would get prioritized. And if a lot of actors kind of pulled strings to get them early, I wouldn't doubt that either. Same way that they did for COVID tests a year ago. You guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember the first person I knew, I can remember who actually got a COVID test was like Gwyneth Paltrow in February or something.
Oh, brother.
Oh yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was in trouble on Twitter because she said that like the worst thing that ever happened to her during quarantine was that she had to eat bread.
Oh yeah, I saw.
Oh,
that.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So
But I thought she said it was like that carbs were her lifeline during the pandemic. Like she actually
Well-
gained 15 pounds, God forbid.
either way, it's sort of not a good thing to admit.
It was one of those things where the title is way more inflammatory than the article. Like the article was actually like bashing her for being so self-absorbed. But the headline was not great.
Yeah.
So Millie, what was just the mood in the industry? Just like if you were like an actor or writer or director, what were people thinking and feeling for like the past year?
Well, I think it kind of depends on who you are and where you work. I think in the indie world, it's been kind of frustrating because we don't really have the only people who are who've actually been shooting during the pandemic are people who have money.
Right.
are productions with money. So those
Has there
typically
anything
be
been-
like Hollywood productions,
there
many of
anything-
which were also put on hold. But
Has there anything actually been good made during the coronavirus? Because I remember that Malcolm and Marie movie came out and everyone hated it. There were, I think, a couple of like TV shows, like series that were all actually about COVID. Everyone hated it. Did anything good come out of it?
I wouldn't be the best person
I don't
to
think
ask
so.
because I think I just kind of gave up. But not that I can think of. I gave up on trying to look for good things to watch. Honestly, not so much because of the pandemic, but just because of my general malaise with feeling of malaise with the industry in general.
Yeah. Did you see what
I'm
Donald Glover said?
struggling to think of anything that I've seen recently that I thought was all that good. I don't know if anyone saw The Father. I thought that was pretty good. And if it was
How do you even
made-
see that? Is it out on? Do you have to like rent it, or is it out on a streaming service?
I rented it on the BAM website, on the Brooklyn Academy of Music website.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the one that Anthony Hopkins won the Oscar for, right?
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about it was sort of. Sorry, I'm just worried that my mic is being weird.
Oh. I thought it was Chris.
Oh wait,
It
what?
might be you, Chris.
About what?
It's okay. Just keep
A
talking.
weird
I
sound-
think there's
sound issue.
feedback from a mic, and I'm paranoid
Yeah.
that it's me.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, why do you think it's me?
Nothing. I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
guessing because it's fun.
Just guessing.
Well, people
Yes,
might have
this
noticed.
this is literally how bug fixing works.
That's exactly right.
Sort of
right.
guess. Tough.
Well, so I'm not going to
Based
accuse our
on-
guests.
No, that's
Thanks,
but
John.
people might have
it's probably
noticed.
me. It's probably me, though. To be honest, hold on.
No,
I'm gonna
no,
try
I-
muting for a second.
We have
Well-
manners here.
Yeah, and people might have noticed that we have our branding now on the stream. So instead of the StreamYard branding, we have our own, and we'll try to make the logo transparent so John can't hide behind it. But yeah, so we're not on the free version of StreamYard anymore. We're on the basic plan, and we'll get more of the branding and everything on here when we can. So yeah.
Gosh, John,
But-
you're totally
but
hiding
we're-
behind the logo.
Yeah.
we have 10 capacity for 10, yet we're still at 6. It's Philip's fault. It's Philip's fault.
That's right.
Moving on
Philip's
up.
not here, so we could have 7. But
So about like Chris and I we were having this discussion about like money going into entertainment, and I was looking up like how much spend there is for content, and it's ridiculous. I think
like
the
hundreds of
total
millions,
streaming
right?
spend for 2021
It's
was
like
over
$100
$100 billion.
billions. That's right.
And
Billions.
Netflix, I think, had something like 17 billion. And we were working that out. Like, for if it's $17 billion in a year, like how many $15 million productions that is? It's like over 1,000. Right? So is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. And that's that's a lot of spend. And
That's ridiculous, and it's not like they're churning out anything very good.
Oh, yeah,
Like, it'd be
Jess,
one thing if
Moxie.
they were creating like
Yeah.
Y'all gotta watch
cinematic.
Moxie
Yeah.
on Netflix.
Yeah, I saw your guys' tweets
Yeah, we
about that.
talked
I haven't
about
even
that.
heard of it. What is that?
I didn't either. No, don't watch it. Don't watch it.
Just
I love
listen
you.
to our
I-
podcast episode.
Yeah.
Okay, but shouldn't I watch
I
it
think it's
before I
like-
listen to the episode?
No.
I try to do as
No.
best a job I can
No.
of illustrating the scene by scene, but oh my god, it's like one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Definitely
Yeah.
the cringiest movie I've ever seen.
Who's in it? Like, what's it?
Amy Poehler and a bunch of like
God.
teenagers,
Yeah, I
or
think
like
it's
they're
supposed
actually
to be-
teenagers. Yeah.
It was. I think it was supposed to be Amy Poehler's Mean Girls, like her friend Tina Fey. But just missed the ballpark by a good mile. It's so
Wow.
bad.
but this is
But it's
literally
Sounds
like
bad.
this is
like
this
what
is literally
the new
Silicon
content
Valley
strategy.
capital coming
Yeah.
in, and I think the model was that Netflix didn't have its own library of IP, and so it was at the mercy of the Paramounts and the Disneys or whatever, and so they had but I had access to like ridiculous amounts of Silicon Valley money, and so their stock was insane to the point where they're like, okay, fine, if you can just pull your movies, the movie studios weren't willing to sign long-term contracts with Netflix, so they were like, we'll pull our movies whenever we want. Netflix was like, okay, fine, I'll just spend billions upon billions to make my own library of works. But they needed to do it very quickly because I gather they knew that this window of opportunity wasn't going to last forever. So they just started hosing money, it seems, and they're continuing to hose money at this issue. And a lot of people seem to be complaining that it's like, a lot of the streaming content is paint by numbers. I'm like, yeah, well, how else are you going to turn 17 billion into products within 1 year? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of craft tables. That's a lot of use running around, trying to put it together to film this stuff.
Yeah, with something like Moxie, I have to wonder because like Amy Poehler is a veteran. She is like talented in her way. I'm just thinking like, did they give her like 2 days to make it? Because it's so bad. It's like, okay, you get one take, doesn't matter how bad it is, and then it's move on. Because it was just astoundingly incompetent.
Pogo, I think that's a global number. I think it's there. It's a global platform. So I think
it's still a lot. Global. Even if if it was just US, that'd be even more astronomically large. But even at a global spend, that's a lot.
Netflix only accounts for about a little less than 10%.
I'd say more like 95%.
A little more than
10%
of the total spend.
I totally agree. I can't think of the last time I saw something good on Netflix.
Yeah.
If you ever see the top 10 movies, especially, is incredibly just puke-inducing.
Or the shows.
It's like the series are terrible. It's just like there isn't anything that's worth watching.
Netflix is like when you used to show up to Blockbuster like late, like Friday at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
That's all. That's what Netflix is. That's
Yeah.
There's some stuff I've liked, but I don't know if it's like Netflix created.
It's rare.
Well, the thing is, Netflix will partner. Can you highlight Adam? Can you highlight Pogo's comment? Netflix makes great foreign content. Well, see, the thing is, they'll kind of lend their name. I'm thinking of something like Giri Haji, which was really well made, but I think that was all BBC One. Like Netflix, I think just gave them some money. It had no creative control over it. And you can tell because it's like actually good.
They just bought it. Yeah.
Same with like all the Korean stuff. I'm pretty sure that's just all branding.
Not
and
all
money.
of it.
What about because a lot of it.
Some of it they're producing.
Yeah.
But even then, I think they're pretty hands off.
What about a Gretzky?
Do you remember when Netflix first started being a studio? Their stuff was actually really good. They
House of Cards, that was. I mean, nobody talks about it anymore, but that was a game changer.
Peaky Blinders. It was really good. And then they started just putting like as soon as all the other studios started coming out with their own streaming platforms, Netflix started like dumping casino money into it. So it's just a numbers game now. I think that's
how long
where,
do you think it takes to film one of these 8-episode or 10-episode series?
Yeah, Millie, what would you estimate?
Like, what's the turnaround time for like when it gets greenlit and they're like, okay, what is it? A year, 2 years, or what? What do you think?
It really totally varies, but I would say like crappy. for one season.
Yeah.
I don't know, between like 3 and 6 months.
Okay.
Like that.
Wow. Okay. So that's actually faster than I thought.
That's fast.
I thought maybe a year, but yeah.
Dude, there's some Excel spreadsheets that I owe people at work that take longer than that.
Absolutely.
That's quick.
I can string them along for 8 months.
Yeah.
I like this comment. So CK3 benchmarks here. I've read some Reddit posts that said Netflix is anti-Asian, but never Amazon Prime. Is there actually anti-Asian direction on Netflix? I think that's a bias from the early years. Do you guys remember that when they would have like Marco Polo? And what was that? What was that series?
Oh yeah, I remember that
Amazon,
show.
wasn't it?
No, Marco Polo was
Netflix.
That was Netflix.
That was Netflix. It was one of the first sort of like
What was it? Oh, Death Note. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, because it was a live action Death Note where like the guy was white.
Oh wait, a live action Death Note?
Yeah, it was a live action.
No, the guy was
Death
black. It was Lakeith Stanfield played.
No, but one of the guys was white.
But wasn't the main character played by Lakeith Stanfield?
No.
Oh,
And
okay.
then there was the was it the Golden Fist or whatever the fuck?
Iron
was
Fist.
Yeah.
Iron Fist.
Iron Fist or something. Yeah.
Well, but Iron Fist, the character is
Oh,
basically
God,
Iron
is
Fist,
so
the
bad.
character is racist anyway, so it wasn't Netflix
What-
making it
wasn't
more
like-
racist.
Wasn't like their head of content, like their head of content or head of international content, like Asian American lady?
I'm not sure.
Maybe I'm
Is
not
she?
sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, she took over a few years
Who is
ago,
she?
like after
Okay.
the
She's
pretty high
initial
up.
wave.
After all that
Yeah,
stuff.
and and then that's about when I don't know how much she had to do with that, but that's when we started seeing like all the foreign funded productions, like Naked Director, all the Korean dramas that came
Yeah.
into Netflix, where they would first like license established like licensed dramas to import to the U.S. or like
Right.
and then later like outright fund them. So
Like Signal. I
don't
watched
know, it's-
Signal on Netflix.
Mm.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit of like the question is Netflix or Amazon anti-Asian? It's too broad a question, right? These are such big companies, and honestly, it just makes sense to follow the money in that case. What all
Yeah.
that it's not like suddenly Netflix. You can't call Netflix pro-Asian. They just found
No.
out that this content sells really well. I have to imagine that Asian Americans have huge amounts of buying power, so they're probably trying to tap into that. Also, there's huge non-Asian American demand for this Asian content. It just happens to do very well, so this is what they're going to do.
Yeah. And
So
it's a
it
mixed
seems
bag.
that it's really hard to like. It's really hard to say like, well, I mean, how can you call Amazon like pro anything except pro Amazon, right?
Mhm.
They're pro
so-
money. That's what they are.
Yeah, so if you're trying to like find something that you want to put your money in, like it's really going to be difficult. It's just going to be like which one entertains you more. Like I didn't have Netflix for years. I actually only revived my subscription to watch Moxie.
Oh, really?
Um,
You had to pay for
yeah.
it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh God.
I
You could have just
did.
asked
I
me.
real-
I'd share.
Yeah,
I
I
know,
leech
but I was
off of
like, oh,
Adam.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did it. I mean, and I've like kind of browsed around. Like nothing's really all that appealing. The interface is complete garbage.
Oh, it's garbage.
The only thing that seems to have changed is that they don't do that. They're not dumping as much money into comedy as they used to. Do you guys remember that? Like 2 years ago.
Oh, you mean the comedy
Everything on the top
specials?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the 1 hour.
I think they realized they all suck, and yeah.
The
Well, I mean,
person
they
is
used to be
Lisa
good, but they were
Nishimura,
just
is
so-
what I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah, her name's familiar.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think like pumping and dumping the special comedy hours were probably like Netflix's first big play into racking up some numbers, because that's actually that's bound to be a really simple thing to produce. Your big payout is simply like 20 million to Chris Rock or something. Which sounds like a huge number, but in the scale of like Netflix's total budget, this is a steal.
Right.
Just film for one night. It's probably super fast to turn around. You're paying just the big name
Yep.
comedian, and then boom, you got content on your
Yep.
stream that's exclusive to you, will rack up huge numbers, and it's super quick to do.
Yeah.
I was wondering when the Steam would run out of that, but I guess it has.
They probably
Now
also
it's like it's. Go ahead.
they probably also found significant overlap in demographics between like Comedy Central viewers and
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought I'd show your face,
brought up,
Jong. I took the logo away for you.
yeah, I think
Oh,
people
that's
know what
okay.
they're watching. So,
yeah. Oh, all right.
Etang said Extraction with Chris Hemsworth was just him indiscriminately killing Bangladeshis. Wasn't that the most popular Netflix movie of all time when it came out?
Was it?
I
It
don't
was
remember
really
that.
big in terms of numbers. It might have been even bigger than Bird Box or whatever was previously number one. The weird thing though
Right.
is, like, nobody even heard of it or talked about it. And you would think that, well, who knows what they claim when they say, 100 million people viewed it. It's like,
Who knows?
who knows, right? But
But do we ever even know that? Like we talked
No, we
about
don't.
that yet. Like I kind of wonder what's going on here in terms of audience size. Like we were talking about Moxie, and it was like number 10 on Netflix's top 10 list. We have no idea what the criteria is or what the difference is between number 1 and number 10.
yeah, and I
Right.
think they purposely do that. And there's even this new like woke angle where there are these shows that are clearly just being funded as like PR moves, where
Yeah.
they can say, yeah, we have this show about, I don't know, it's something like Them on Amazon, which has been completely trashed by everybody. But something like that, I bet Amazon doesn't even care if they make money on it, because they can now say we have this black show on. So then when you demand, hey, what's your audience? Do they really warrant this deal? The makers are probably gonna be like, oh, you're just being a racist for demanding numbers. So yeah, so that just helps the studio just make it just. It's like they're like Enron. They're just like writing their own sheets.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think they're pumping and dumping. I think creatives are working off of each of these streaming services. They're cashing in. They're producing crap content that's not going to be seen by a lot of people.
Oh, they must know
Amy
it. Yeah.
Poehler, they must know it. Like, there's no way that some of these big names would sign on to this if they knew that eyeballs were going to be, like, serious numbers of eyeballs were going to be on it. I feel like some of these specials are kind of like how. So, do you remember how celebrities used to go to Japan in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
do a crazy advertisement, and then
they make a lot of money,
cash the check, and then come back? I feel like that some amount of that is happening right now with all these like limited edition specials, like where they're getting paid, but the audience is limited to whoever, like some small subset of whoever is on the streaming service, and then they're just going to use that to get play for bigger and bigger contracts between studios. I don't see how people would be signing their names to some of this garbage that's going on if it's not a play for something much bigger. And ultimately, I feel like it's still playing for the big studios that still have cinema releases. Otherwise, I don't know. Like the audience for these streaming features seems really, really small, like really niche.
Yeah. Another odd thing I've noticed is because I like to read a lot of novels and stuff. These books that aren't even going to be released for some time, like say 6 months to a year, will get some big name attached to it, like Mindy Kaling. And this is like a first-time debut author. Even if this book is popular, it's not going to be like a Harry Potter or like his Dark Materials or anything like that big. It's going to be like a moderate, bestseller that'll appeal to people who subscribe to the New Yorker or something. And then they're like, oh no, let's make a movie out of it. But it's like, what? There's not even a proven base for it. So I don't even know what these people are doing. I think they are just hoarding IP. They're just like, we don't even know what's going to be good, but we don't want other people to get it in case it's good. So we're just going to vacuum it all up.
Is this, Millie, is this like a thing that people, is it felt by people, producers and filmmakers and directors and actors, like that there's a rush to create, it's kind of a gold rush now, or has COVID made it not so easy to do stuff? Or because when I see those numbers, I'm like, I doubt there's ever been this much money being pumped into producing content. Is everyone just like, I mean, how do you make that many shows? There must be legions of people, like legions of these crews and editors and cameramen and all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's one positive, from a service like Netflix having such a huge budget. At least, more filmmakers and actors and people in the industry are getting employed. I'm all for that.
Right.
But I would just like, I don't really know. Like I have friends. I reside mostly in the indie film world, and like not a lot of my friends. I have a few friends now who are working in Hollywood, and so like a close friend of mine too, now has an agent and lives in LA, and is going out on jobs, and so like I hear things from her and also like from certain classmates who are working as well. But, it's not a world that I choose to follow very closely because I find it all so stupid, Like, it is honestly so embarrassing. Like, it's just, this $100 billion that we're talking about here. Like, as an indie producer, I'm, like, my job is to find ways to make things on a shoestring. And, like, I'm proud to say that I've helped make projects that were actually pretty good on very, very little money, So to hear about these projects that are being funded with ginormous budgets, and then turn out the way they turn out, is like kind of horrifying, I don't even like, I have no words.
That's everywhere. There's this huge rush of money with there's no expectation of turning a profit. There's no expectation of just do something with it. Like everywhere you look, it's just this.
Keep in mind that
illusion of
Hollywood,
cash.
exactly. Like Hollywood is just as corporate as every other industry out
certainly,
there.
Absolutely.
And so like all of the bullshit that we deal with in our corporate lives is stuff that is like 100% reflected in working in Hollywood. The stories I've heard from friends who signed on to work on one project and then got the rug pulled from under them, and were told, no, actually, we want this other type of thing, is disappointing. It's just kind of and it's given me pause in terms of like, well, like what if I were to be able to work in the industry, what would I do? Like what, under what terms would it be? Because I just don't like, I've worked in corporate for 25 years. Like I don't need to, I'm not going to, go into working in the film industry, only to be screwed in the same ways that I've been screwed at my advertising job.
Right.
Which is
it's just
sucks because
so
you figure
disheartening,
that much
honestly.
money flowing around that people would be willing to take more risks. Right, and that's always
that's the crazy
assumption.
thing. It's the exact opposite.
Right.
Because there's so
Too much money.
Nobody
Everyone's
wants to
chasing
take a
after
risk.
it. Yeah.
They just want to do the thing. They just want to repeat what's been successful in the past.
Right.
That's why we have these giant franchises and remakes and reboots of the same.
Spider-Man has been rebooted 3 times now, right?
I worked on I worked on this securitization deal once, and it was like, like mortgages. You securitize mortgages in those bonds, and it destroyed the economy.
Sure, yeah.
There were ones that were for film receipts, right? So we worked on deals that we would securitize the receivables, the future revenue on movies, but only sequels. You could only do this for sequels because they had some data and some model that could say, okay, Wall Street wants to throw money into Hollywood, but they want some notion of what the expected return is going to be. And so we would securitize sequels only because then you could go and look at the first one and say, historically, if the first movie generated this 100 million, the second movie will probably range somewhere between 70 and 200 or something.
Right,
like
because they have a lot of data from the past of sequels and things.
There's some proven
they can be like
for this particular IP.
And they can probably even they can also
and so if you wanted access to Wall Street money, you had to have some proven thing. And I think maybe that was part. It was really weird. I was like, why can you securitize Jurassic Park 4, but you can't securitize, like a new thing, right? And after I saw that, I started realizing like, oh wow, like people put money into movies like as an investment. I didn't I thought it was people who, it was like some weird dude that was like
passionate about movies,
or a studio that's all they did. But no, it was like people were like, oh yeah, no, I actually want to make some money off this. And so
I guess it depends on who you are. I mean, I think if you're an institution, you're certainly looking to make money there, but then there also, movie making just happens at so many different levels. There is definitely the sort of like rich movie nerd guy, who just wants like, who just gets a kick out of like helping to fund a film, But I mean, the whole financing thing now too is further complicated by algorithms, because what's funded is decided by Netflix's algorithm. Or
is that similar to like the music industry where people were saying that like songs were sort of built by algorithms and things like that? They like analyzed what all the hit songs were, and then they tried to make sure that like any song that they would produce had like similar characteristics. Is that something similar now in the in the movie industry?
I think so. I'm not an expert in the way that the data is gathered and like how the algorithms work exactly.
Right.
But I know that there is an algorithm, and that that they put a lot of importance on what the algorithms are telling them they should make.
That's interesting.
My guess is this doesn't last for much longer. I don't think that we can pour this much.
I hope not.
Yeah. I know Netflix, the wheels already started coming off
so
Netflix
disheartening.
a little bit.
Oh, really? Why? What started happening at Netflix?
I think their last quarterly report, their subscriber growth was like terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. Their stock tanked afterwards.
Yeah.
Their stock tanked. Yeah. I mean, look, I mean,
Yeah.
like,
that's the only way they make money,
There's
right?
a limit.
More
There's
subs.
a limit to these fiefdoms. So the way that movies make money now has got to be way different. Because let's take Moxie. We're giving so much press time to Moxie for a movie we're telling people not to watch.
Ratings
but anyway,
suddenly
like
spiked just because
Okay,
of
now
us.
I have to. Now I have to see it.
oh,
Obviously,
no, it's such
I
a
probably won't get too far in,
algorithm. It's
yeah,
kind of
like-
an interesting test
yeah.
case. Like Netflix has X number of subscribers who pay Y amount of dollars per month. That's kind of a fixed set. It's not like the old box office model where you'd actually have to entice new people each time to go see your movie. So you're kind of a captive audience. In this case, then, you're not making movies for necessarily the Netflix audience. You're making a movie that you can sell to Netflix. You want some of their money. You're not necessarily you're not really even trying to capitalize on their audience. Because
No,
if you're
good point,
if you're a Netflix subscriber, then you're captive to what Netflix will offer you when you turn on your TV in the evening or something.
Well,
So in
unless you
that
have
case-
all three subs. I have Hulu and
then you're kinda
Amazon and
going-
Netflix.
And there's
But even in that
there's
case,
overlap.
you're not appealing
There is
to
overlap,
each
Yeah.
like individual viewer. You're basically appealing to like a corporate board, which is why all these
Yeah.
things end up looking like the same. Because
That's true.
Netflix has, I don't know, let's say 100 million subscribers, but it's not like Netflix is the ultimate gatekeeper in that sense.
Yeah,
So,
no, I
you know.
agree with that. Yeah.
Like if Netflix wants to get 5 million eyeballs on this movie, they can make that happen. They can tweak algorithms. They can tweak the rankings for their top 10.
Absolutely,
They can
yeah.
make it happen. So that's not even a concern. The only thing then is for the creator. You're really only trying. If you were Amy Poehler or Amy Poehler's production company, you're trying to make money from Netflix. You're not trying to make money from Netflix users.
Yeah.
So in that case, you're going through an extremely corporate, process
true.
to
Yeah.
just sell your product. You're not trying to court the Netflix user base and the corporate, people who are sitting in the Netflix, boardroom or wherever these decisions are made. I know nothing about this process. They just have to go through a checklist. They got their big name. They got Amy Poehler. They got they're checking off, this set of I don't know, social issues or whatever that they want some attention on, that they want credibility for, and then boom, there we have it. There we have a product. It's kind of embarrassing in that case that this thing landed at number 10 then and never got higher.
I mean, think about it. All this money being spent, all this great, supposedly like good stuff happened, and like say like all the Oscars and all the award show ratings always going down. Like less and less people are actually caring. It's probably because it's oversaturation of absolute mediocrity, if even that, probably sub mediocrity.
Probably.
The only thing they
yeah,
care about is subscriber base, growing it, and retaining it. Because there's this thing now where it's like people don't own, like, you can, like, Peloton was in the news recently about that treadmill that killed the kid. And I went to their website just to check out how much these things cost. And they don't really tell you how much it costs. They tell you how much it costs per month because you can finance it like a car, a treadmill, or like a stationary bike, They're like, oh yeah, pricing on this it's as low as $48 a month. And there's this real
I checked also. I think the Peloton Tread is like 800 or something like that.
To buy it, it's like $4,300. It's
Oh, really?
crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
more.
it's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
expensive. It's very, very.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't, because I did look into it, and it was actually right before their recall. But I was kind of curious.
It comes in like 3
I
packages.
didn't think it was over. I didn't think it was that much.
Yeah,
It
it's like
is,
No,
twice
it's
the
super
price.
expensive.
Yeah, your run of
And
the
it'll kill your
mill like
kids.
premium.
Your run-of-the-mill
would
treadmill?
be like $2,000, and this will be twice that, right? And
Well, not
on top of
anymore.
that, think about it. This is what they love. So what you do is you buy the treadmill, but you put it on a financing plan.
Yeah, you
And
finance
so you
it.
pay 48 to $90, whatever your package is, a month. On top of that, you pay the subscription fee for the Peloton content stream.
Right, which
with
is what,
classes and
probably
stuff like that.
$25 a month or something like that.
So Peloton, so you've got a company that's in the treadmill business that has the same business model as Netflix. because for some reason,
Right.
and it might have something to do with what the interest rates are now or whatever, but the all-powerful thing is to have this recurring revenue. As long as I can show that I'm going to make $50 a month without any, you just count it for forever, basically. Like, this person will always be a subscriber. We have no idea when they're going to quit.
Yeah, it's
You
like
can basically justify
Makes
any
sense.
valuation at that point because interest rates are zero, right?
I-
any revenue is worth its weight in gold and even more, as long as it's recurring revenue. So everyone's on this monthly thing.
Netflix doesn't care if we're actually watching stuff. They just care
Not at all.
we don't bother to cancel our subscription.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just pay your monthly thing. That's fine.
I don't think Nico, I don't think you're right that Netflix doesn't want to keep its viewer base. It wants to cater to new blood. It never wants to show that its viewer base is going down. So it definitely wants to keep viewers. It's just not as important as getting new viewers.
well, maybe
It doesn't want to lose its viewer base because eventually you're going to get everyone who's new, and then if you've lost a certain amount of people who were subscribing, you're not going to grow your base. Your subscriber number.
Yeah, I don't think there's a difference.
It's both important.
I don't think there's a difference between an existing and a new one, right? Like if I lose a new one, then that cancels out.
Yeah.
A one I attract. So you're going to want to do both.
You actually need to be
also
super
probably
You just
a
need to
human
do-
tendency to just kind of even forget you're subscribed and just people don't go out of their way.
Yeah,
to
there's numbers on
unsubscribe.
this. If you play your cards right, you can actually wring quite a bit of free money out of your subscriber base because human inattention will far exceed their motivation to simply click, unsubscribe. So in the case of a streamer, then I'm pretty sure once a person decides, okay, I hate Netflix or I don't like it, you can still wring quite a few months of subscription out of them. What you don't want to do in that case is to bring it to their attention. So the worst thing you could do at that point is this bored customer who doesn't like your product suddenly comes onto the Netflix top 10 and sees that number 2 is a movie about Hitler, right? That's what you don't want to do. And they're like, oh, what the hell? And then they click unsubscribe because you just offended them enough to override their inattention and laziness. So
I actually don't even know if you can unsubscribe in the app. Like in the
you can't. You have to go
in
to
like your TV. You have to go to the website.
So
Yeah.
just in that
So-
case, their primary goal is to not offend as opposed to make something great.
Yes, you
Because
have
if you
to
make
say
something
you're
great,
Absolutely.
boring.
The people who are there will be happy and stay on. But they would have stayed on anyway, even if you made something bad, as long as it wasn't offensive. And chances are you're probably like pretty saturated with subscribers anyway, that even if you make the world's greatest movie, you might not even get that many subscribers.
Not to mention they keep
And I
raising their
think-
rates.
They do.
Yeah,
They're
what's it
constantly
at now?
calling up. Yeah.
When I signed on again, it's like I just got the basic plan. It's like $8.99, which is what I think I was paying $7.99 for years, and then finally, like I saw like an $11.99 for like 4K, and now it's $14 a month for the 4K version. It's and like there's a middle where it's 1080, and I just got the one that's 480. Like it's clear which one they're trying to funnel.
Yeah, I didn't
4x3.
realize that,
Yeah.
Jess. I didn't realize that that they had standard definition Netflix.
They
and then
do.
I was like, why does my
Yeah.
Netflix look like shit? And then I checked and it was
Yeah,
like, oh yeah,
Wait,
you're
I
on
thought
the
everyone was leeching off of me on this stream. The hell, guys!
We should.
I
we
guess
should,
it's just me.
See, I think Netflix's strategy, maybe not so much the other ones, but they'll get there too at some point. It's to put out content that people think that they want to see at some point in the future. I'm sure everyone spends more time on my list than actually watching any content. That's my hunch. In that case, what you want to do is you want to put out a good title card. You want to put out a good looking title card with a good name, ostensibly talking about some cause that a broad number of people are motivated by and want to be interested in, if not actually interested in. So they'll put it in the queue. Then you've got them. Once you've got, I think my big thing when I was thinking about just unsubscribing from Netflix is, I have like 300 things in the queue that I haven't watched yet. Surely I should stick around to watch it. And it's like, I'm never going to watch it. I just put it there because I thought I'm going to watch it.
It's like my video game
I'm
queue.
pretty sure I'm not alone. Yeah, I'm pretty. It's just the Steam video game library, but
Yeah,
for
exactly,
like
but for
everyone
TV.
else. But for everyone. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is the content strategy. You just don't want to piss them off enough to make them leave. You want to entice them a little to put this content in your queue, but what that actually is might not matter so much because not a lot of people are actually going to watch it.
Right. And also, you know, you can sign, let's say, a minority group, like somebody you think they will like give them a huge deal. Those people are probably not even going to watch it, but it's going to make them feel good. I support a company that supports so and so. I don't actually like anything they do, but hey, you know what? It's he or she's one of us. So yeah.
So okay, so
Yeah, and if this is some like cause, like let's say Asian Americans, right? They put out some content with some flashy names, and then like one of them is a blue check or something, and they convince like some number of people, some number of their followers to sign up to go watch this movie. Boom! Netflix probably can squeeze out a good full year of revenue if they play their cards right.
right. Well, and I think
Way
Netflix,
past
I know,
this initial.
and I know Amazon Prime, what they'll do is they'll group the content into those sort of like, so they have AAPI stuff, right? And
Yeah,
they'll
they started
group
doing
content
that. Yeah.
in that, and they have Black Lives Matter stuff, Black content creators. So they definitely do what you're saying, Jess. Where like they're like, yeah, we have this content, and you're gonna feel good because you can watch the, Asian content this month because
I
it's
find that
Asian American
disturbing
History
that
Month.
There's really such a section called
my God.
Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely, there is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
100%.
probably come up with a screenshot of it, but I have all
No,
of
I mean,
them.
we've all
I
seen
almost
it.
have all
We've
of
all
them. We've all
seen
seen
it,
it.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's really funny to me that as like a gamer, right? Gaming sort of like pioneered the recurring revenue model.
World of Warcraft.
And all
maybe
like the
EverQuest.
online games.
Wait, didn't
right?
EverQuest do it first?
EverQuest and Astron's Call and all this stuff, right? And even like with Fortnite and these other games, they have these monthly game passes or these passes where you get certain, if you play enough, you get like rewards, right? And I find it really disturbing, and it sort of it lost popularity because the gamers are like, what is this shit? I'm gonna pay $15 a month just to play this game. They didn't like it, so gaming's really gone to sort of free to play model where it's free to play the game, right? So it's like free to watch, but if you decide that you want something extra, you can pay to get that. So it's really disturbing to me from a consumer perspective that everything else like movies, TV has gone to this like monthly subscription model where you have to pay to be able to play. And it seems like it's not really going to go anywhere. Now, I don't know like if it's going to be successful forever, but I think they're going to try to milk this for a long time because they're addicted to the revenue, right? Like
That's what the Juicero was all about. Remember that?
Right. Well, you
they're all
literally
like
had to
this.
have a subscription or your juicer wouldn't work.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it's conforming. I mean, think about it. Like, back in the day, you would if I pull the plug on Netflix, no matter how many years I've been subscribing and how many hundreds or thousands of dollars I plowed into it, the second I break my subscription, I retain nothing.
Yeah, you don't know anything.
Same with gaming and whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas before, if you sort of built up, a library of your DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever, you own those.
That's yours,
and it kind of reminds me of that weird video. Did you ever see the weird World Economic Forum video that said by 2030 you will own nothing and be happy?
I sent that one to you. Yeah.
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 I mean, that's where things are. I mean, I know they made a prediction for a reason.
Yeah, I mean,
Wait, say
it's a
again?
huge push. By 2030, the World Economic Forum predicts that the title is so stark. It's "You will own nothing and you'll be happy." It's basically envisioning a world without private property. So you will not own your home; you'll rent. You'll just basically be, you'll be renting everything. Basically, you'll be renting the content you own. You'll be renting, a car. You won't actually be able to own any of the things that we traditionally have seen as purviews of private property. Like
Who
you'll
knew
be
Rent a
renting.
Center would be everything.
Yeah,
but
you'll rent
with
your
things
computer,
like-
you'll rent your
The private
devices.
should have a link to that image if you want to show it.
Yeah, no, I will. Yeah.
But there are
Yeah.
pros and cons to that, though. But with things like movies and music, if
No, there's
we were
only
still-
cons. There's only cons
No,
to
but
that
like,
in the long run.
Yeah.
yeah, but look, there is no way we could own all the movies we watch if they cost as much. Like, growing up, a DVD was what, like $30. Like, there is no way we could buy like 100 DVDs a year. That'd just be like way too much for most people. So if you can pay a fraction of that amount, but you don't own it, that is a trade-off that I think has its merits in some ways, because there's no way I would have been able to watch everything I've watched through streaming if I had to buy all that, like, $30 a pop.
But
So
there's also, yeah, I mean, yeah, but you have the option to buy some stuff, right? This
We
is
had a
saying you're not going to
solution
own
that we had
anything,
Blockbuster.
right? Yeah, we
We
had
had
Blockbuster for that, right? And you could buy the DVD if you wanted it, and there wasn't
and
anything.
it was
that
also
would,
pay
like,
as you go. It's
Yeah.
not just about whether you own it or not, but also, I pay for what I use. So if I want to go
Yeah.
rent a DVD at Blockbuster, I pay for it, and if I don't want to do it, I don't. But what they really want to do now is use that gym model, right? Like that
Yep.
the gyms perfected, which was I pay for it even if I don't use it, and that's how
Pay for
gyms made
access.
money, right? Was like vast majority of people. New Year's comes, they sign up for a gym, they feel like they're in the zone, and that's it. And the reality is that 70-80% of people, after they sign up, they never come back again.
Yeah.
And that means that you're just making free money off people because they signed up to pay a recurring fee, and that's it. That's like for some reason that's like fucking gold. That is how business models are made these days.
not only that, but they make it very hard for you to quit.
Yes.
Not only
Yeah.
because so I realized this when I quit my gym membership in November after they started charging me again. Once like COVID slightly downturned, but in New York City, if you don't quit like 40 days in advance, they get to prorate like the remaining or something like that. You cannot just quit.
Yeah.
It's like more than a month. You gotta quit in advance. And even if you do, it's like you gotta go in person, so they'll shame you. They'll be like, especially, I mean, consider like if you're like kind of like out of shape or something, and you go
they'll be
there.
like, hey man.
So I mean, what do you think on Netflix? How do you think they'll shame you? They might be like, oh, but we got all this great Stop Asian Hate, Black Lives Matter content. We're promoting like women's narratives. Are you gonna be like a
Do you
alt
not
right
care about
guy
the
or
arts?
something?
Do you not care about cultural relevance? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, so they're gonna do something like that.
Or they
Oh,
might just be like,
we have
this.
strategies like that. They've tied
Yeah.
not my Netflix is now paid through my phone bill for some reason. So I don't even know how to cancel my Netflix. It's somehow
Well,
paid
yeah,
through my
through your
Netflix, Disney
phone
Plus,
bill?
and
Yeah.
ESPN.
T-Mobile
Like, so- yeah.
ends up
Okay.
paying my Netflix for me. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but they
It's
said
bundled.
it was
It's a bundle, right? They bundle everything. So
yeah, it's like bundled. so it's
Hulu-
really hard to
Hulu-
cancel any one particular thing.
Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus, I think, or ESPN, or whatever that one is. They're all bundled together. And
Oh,
so
got it.
I actually had like all three of them separately, but once they bundled it, they're like, oh yeah, if you just have Hulu and whatever that Hulu package, you can get all three. But they actually made it hard for me, so I had to cancel the other two separately, and then say yes, I have the other one for the bundle. It was a big
Wow.
mess, but they're gonna
So
bundle it all.
the real product
so-
now is to get you to sign up for a service and then forget it or
Yeah,
make it
absolutely.
quit. It
Yeah.
is no longer a simple thing where it's like, here's a thing, and if you want it, you can pay for it, and then you get it,
Yeah.
and then
It's like proactive, right? Proactive, like
And they're
they made
rolling
it
that
impossible
back.
to.
Look at the evolution of the PlayStation, right? The 5 is the first one that actually you can have the option to buy the one that's digital only. You can't.
that's right.
You can buy
Right.
one.
You'll never own
that
anything.
does not have a physical disc drive in it. So I'm pretty sure the next iteration there will be no disc drive at all. This is simply, this is probably the last generation where you can even have the option to purchase a physical CD. And we've seen that like the iPhone, the Switch, the move away from the headphone jack is a lot about more than just
Yep.
the headphone jack. Once we switched to Bluetooth, then we got locked into an entirely new, completely locked way to listen to audio. So that's what was ultimately behind removing the headphone jack. Same thing for the switch to HDMI. So slowly, like bit by bit, and then all the the right to repair laws that are being fought all across the country. In a lot of in a couple of generations, we probably will not have the. I mean, isn't it already the case if you fix your iPhone, you void the warranty. If you don't take it into like the Apple store to fix, you void
I
your
still
warranty.
think that's
on it
true.
in a
Yeah.
lot of cases.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of warranties are broken if you try to like open them.
Yeah, Teslas are notorious for this. You don't actually own the entire vehicle. You are
Nope.
you are obligated to Tesla for the entirety of your life with this car. You don't truly like this is it doesn't get a lot of play, but it is a different kind of property ownership model that they're trying with these cars. Again, linked to the fact that Tesla has a computer that always phones home. So the argument is that, well, then it's actually still just an extension of Tesla that you're renting for an extended period of time. In that case, more so than outright owning.
I mean, Jess,
I mean-
like you're basically predicting stuff in real time, which is here. I'll put a link here, but I'm looking at.
Got it.
I just put Tesla subscription into Google,
Yeah.
and here's in
It's here.
Roadshow, CNET. Tesla full self-driving subscription model coming in Q2, Musk says.
Oh, yeah.
So there will be
Seriously?
another way to gain
Oh, yeah.
access to the full self-driving option, which right now I think you pay $10,000 for it. It's an unlock, right?
Right.
But now they're going to make it a subscription model. So if you want to use it, you can pay a monthly fee. And if you stop paying it, I guess they take it away.
It just
that's
stops
what-
working in the middle of the highway.
Damn.
I
Yeah.
mean, so there's so much
Yeah,
like.
your credit card maxes out and it declines the transaction, and then suddenly
What if you're
fucked
on-
the freeway?
Yeah, what if you're
Damn.
on self-driving and your credit card debt gets declined? It's just going to turn it off?
What was the there was a tweet about like a safety vest, like a
Yeah.
motorcycle
Oh
safety
my
vest
God,
that you had
yes.
to pay a subscription fee for
Yes.
in order for it to actually work.
It was for like a motorcycle, right? And it was like
Yeah.
it was like a wearable airbag.
Yeah.
And if you didn't pay the subscription, it would not work.
Yes.
And that made me think of the movie Repo Man. Look it up. It's with Forrest Whitaker and Jude Law, and
Yeah.
it's basically
Dude,
a
they
future
made
where
movies about all of
Oh,
this back
was
in,
it
like the
organs?
80s.
Yeah.
what?
You had to pay a subscription fee for your organ. Like
It's called Repo Man. It's called Repo Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but I'm saying that it was
Yeah,
about
so,
like
yeah, I
you
was
would
getting
get,
to
like,
that, right? Yeah,
organ
so it's-
donors.
Right. So the
And you have to
future
pay
they
a continuing subscription fee, and if you stopped, they would
Yes.
come and repo your organ.
right, and
Yeah.
Jude Law pays like he plays one of those Repo Men, but then he gets injured on one of the repossessions, and then he has to get a fake an artificial heart,
Right.
and he's like, oh shit, I've been an asshole this whole time, so he has
Yeah.
to run. But literally, that's what's happening, right? Like our world is becoming science fiction, and it just blows my mind that so much of the science fiction I read growing up is coming true, and so much of science fiction is actually a dystopia, right? Even if it's not sort of ostensibly in that genre, so much of it is dystopian, and it's not supposed to be like we should try to do this. It's more like a warning. But it's like these assholes like Elon Musk read it and be like, I must make this reality. And they're making it reality, and it's gonna be fucking awful.
Wait,
Like
did
this
you say
isn't
it-
good.
Wait, did you say his heart had to like be on a subscription model to
Yes,
work?
yes. So they can replace any organ, any limb, anything. But it's so expensive that no one can actually pay it up front. So you have to pay per month. And it's not
It's
just
a
like
lot of-
$15. It's a lot of money, right? And if you don't
Here's
pay
the-
it, they come and take your arm, they
I
come and
sent the
take your
link for
liver.
the vest.
Yeah, I'll
It's
bring it up.
real.
It's
This goes
is
to show
fucking
you
real,
that
guys.
business models are all powerful. Like capital is looking for a recurring revenue model. That's what they want, and that's what they're going to get. So it doesn't matter what business you're in. Are you making electric cars? Are you making exercise equipment? Are you making movies? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, like your model
you
is to
don't get
try and
funded.
create a recurring revenue.
You don't get funded if you don't have this built in.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Um,
Bless you.
if you are ostensibly
I
in
can
the
sell you
tech
something to stop you
sector,
from sneezing every month.
your business will not get off the ground until you have this.
Right.
This is we can talk about bad actors all we want, but systemically, simply, your business will not get the capital it needs or the resource to even become a viable business if you don't have this predatory model baked into your financial model.
Yeah.
So we can talk about, we can bash Elon Musk all we want. He's not actually even the problem here. This is an entire system of pressure applied to all companies everywhere that need to work this out in order for them to just survive given the environment we have.
Yeah, that just fundamentally changes the way capital views us as a market. I don't want you to ever get anything from me. I want you to get it on a month by month increment. So,
but you won't own it. You
won't own it, and
I'm
going to try everything. It's a drug dealer model. It's like I'm going to try everything I can to hook you on it, so that you can never quit. And I didn't realize this.
And this is the most cutting edge example, but a bigger, lower key one is in medical devices.
That's true.
Repo Man, like Adam was saying.
Pacemakers. I heard that right now in America, there's only one person with a pacemaker that isn't like an IoT and Internet of Things thing. Guess who that belongs to?
Warren Buffett.
Dick Cheney.
Oh, really?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There was a whole saga. This was
Why,
this
is
was
his on the
15 years ago.
blockchain?
I don't think the blockchain was invented.
His is connected to the mothership. No, it's like 15 years
Seriously,
ago. I remember reading this.
I know they're trying to move pacemakers, right, to
the internet, smart devices now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's what Jess is
so
saying.
easy to hack.
Yeah, and they're so easy to hack. I remember reading like 10, 15 years ago, a relatively young woman needed a pacemaker, and she was also like a security engineer. And like her I was following her saga, her desperate quest for a pacemaker that isn't connected to the internet, and she failed. Like she found one obscure backup for the one she already had. And she's saying like, okay, well, eventually, the one that I have will run out. I'll get this one to replace it. When that one runs out, I'm kind of out of options. So I didn't follow her, but by now, then she must have. I don't know. She's probably plugged into the internet. It's really scary. Like CPAP machines are another big thing. I think some versions of like insulin pumps.
I bet.
This is just systemic. This isn't even the stuff that's like the luxury, the Veblen goods of our time. This is like stuff that literally keeps people alive. That's sold and profited from in this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like they want to eliminate the entire concept of anything paying for itself. The idea that if you take good care of it and you use it well throughout, at a certain point you're going to like break even. And hey, it feels like they're probably thinking, oh, the customer is screwing us. Like it's never ever going to pay for itself because you're going to pay until the day you die.
It's kind of an overcorrection to a previous business model. I remember this Twitter thread that was going around maybe a couple of months ago. It was about old electronics. The thread was kind of incredible, actually. People were talking about like inheriting washers and dryers from the 70s that were still working, or were
you can't have that anymore.
sturdily
No, you can't do that.
built. Like one guy's like, my parents bought these washers in like 1978 used, and twice it's broken, and twice I just have to go to Home Depot to buy like an $8 like belt to replace it, or a thermometer, and then it's working like new. So
and when the broadband is down, they still work. It doesn't have to connect to
Right, you don't need
exactly.
But didn't Maytag used to advertise itself as like never having to be repaired and work and like working forever?
Yeah,
I think they've like
that.
stopped that, right? I think they've stopped doing that.
Probably. Like a woman was talking about how she like her mom won like a hand blender in high school in the 60s.
Yeah.
And she inherited this hand blender.
Yeah.
And like that concept just broke my brain. The concept of like heirloom electronics.
My mom still has a hand blender that she bought in like the 70s or the 80s.
Yeah. I remember my parents had a washer and dryer that they bought like, as soon as they got to America. They were Maytags. Ugly as hell.
There you go.
and like they kept them for like 40 years basically. And then when they redid the big family, like when they redid the family house, they just gave them away to somebody from church. And then my mom still talks about how upset she gets when she goes over to that friend's house because those washers and dryers are still working just fine, but the brand new Samsung set she bought to replace the shiny glossy new she's had to replace that twice since.
Oh,
And the
shit.
original ones are still working in the friend's house.
Yeah.
Like they're awful. They're ugly. They're
You
like
can't have
orange.
capitalism with
also
this shit.
green.
You can't have an economy with this.
Yeah, fuck capitalism can't.
You got
do
to come
that.
up with new shit if you do that, because
Yeah.
like once they buy their washing
harder.
machine,
Yeah.
and they're done with that for the next
You're
30
done.
years, you got to come up with another machine for them to buy. That
Right.
I just had this idea. So sometimes on YouTube, I really like old guns and just like watching people fire them. So I'm talking about like old
like
Mauser rifles.
muskets.
Well, that too, but I'm talking more like a Mauser rifle from like World War II, and you know these things
You
still
watch
work
Top Shot on History Channel. Top
because
Shot.
these are really well
Do you
made.
get like weird suggestions? Like it's like gun video,
I hope
video,
not, and then
libertarian, separatist.
yeah, a year from now,
Chris
I'm
watch-
gonna
Chris
be like a
watches it
militia
without
guy.
signing
I'm
in,
gonna become a militia guy. But
Yeah.
imagine guns
He doesn't
become
sign in.
subscription based. So like you're a soldier in the U.S. Army.
Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna say that would be
guns
the
just
last
stop
straw.
firing.
The U.S. military would not have it.
I don't know,
No,
who
they
knows,
wouldn't.
but I think that would
I
be
don't think so.
I think so extreme. Where
I bet
it's
you
like-
there's gun subscription services where you'll get
Oh,
a
there
batch
has
of
to
cool
be.
guns for the month, and then kind of like a cheese.
Oh, yeah,
of
I'm
the
sure
month
they have
fee.
that. Yeah,
do
you get
the
like a copy of
Google.
Soldier Fortune and all that.
I
But
don't know about that.
Unsubscription box.
You actually
Okay,
you
yeah,
wouldn't be able to
let's
do
take
that.
it to Google.
There we go.
Jong.
Let's.
take
I
it to
think
Google.
I could see like
I got
ammo packages,
I
but
got
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
know about actual firearms.
I got it.
yeah, but you know it's coming, right? It's like, oh, you got to pay like $9.99 or your gun stops firing.
Well, actually,
At
I
the
mean,
first
gun
of the month.
ownership laws are structured to kind of circumvent that. You can't actually do like partial
Wow.
ownership
I don't
for
know.
firearms.
I
can or
don't know
cannot?
about this, but
You cannot.
Yeah, I
So
don't believe you can.
well,
so that would
Yeah, so
preclude
this is-
like
There you go, accessories.
renting a
but
gun.
not actual.
yeah, you can't.
okay.
You wouldn't be. Well, that's funny. It's like so firearms are like the one industry that's impervious to this business
I mean,
model.
I don't.
Is that
quite.
barrel
I
and
would-
is
I
that
would not
barrel
know.
and blade? What is this? I found one called Barrel and Blade. It sounds like Tac Pack.
Yeah,
What the hell
Yeah,
is
I mean,
that thing?
what's actually inside of it? You know,
that seems
like
That's
I'm
not
pretty
going to
sure
be
that-
like gun.
yeah.
Glock box.
I'd be really really surprised.
We're getting close, man.
mean,
No, again, these are accessories.
Parts, gears, tools. Yeah,
Yeah,
you would
okay.
not be.
Jong's
able to
like,
have-
that's not even close. That's
You're
not
not
all
gonna
right,
say
all
that.
right.
I just don't think.
Jeez. Okay.
Imagine a bulletproof vest that if you don't pay on time, it just like turns into jello. I like
No, worse. They don't even tell you that you're late. You just
No.
die if you
Yeah.
get shot.
Like it just turns red. Being like, nope. Like the light is green, meaning it's working.
Yeah, it's like, shoot
Red,
this
it's
guy, shoot
off,
this guy,
And then
he's,
they're like,
he's a
oh, it's not
deadbeat.
on.
But you can rent. You
But it's like
can
right
rent
to
firearms,
repair.
though.
Yeah, I know.
By the way,
Yeah.
you just have to do it
Yeah.
like on a particular premises. You can't take it elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah. At
Yeah.
the gun range, you can.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
But I mean,
like those
like,
McDonald's
you can't, like,
ice cream
reboot or
machines.
something like that.
I mean, that's this principle
What?
in action, right? It's the that software thing that was disabling it, and then people found a way to repair it, and
Yeah.
then
Oh,
that's
it's like,
right.
no, you
that's
can't do
right.
that.
No,
Yeah.
Trailer, which is
Kingdom Come, yeah.
the machine, the company that makes the ice cream machines for McDonald's. 25% of their revenue is recurring revenue for maintenance from that kind of stuff from McDonald's. That was
God.
a quarter of the revenue. And in the world of finance, when you say asset, something on my balance sheet that's worth something on the asset column, the key asset is a recurring receivable.
You know,
Some kind of cash receivable,
Mhm.
right?
yeah,
That's
and-
the ultimate.
Yeah, and in a perverse way, it's like the higher quality product you make, the worse it is. So if you're like a
Yep.
boot manufacturer, you're like, you just buy a pair of like Wolverines, you own them for life, and be like, yeah, that's not good. We need these to break down every 2 years, like a cheap, Macy's boot or something like that.
Yeah. It's kind
Yeah.
of shocking because like people aren't making that much more money than before, but they've got it down to where like people don't even ask. We don't think in terms of price. Like, when we buy
No.
houses, we don't really think about the price that we're paying
No.
for the house. That's
What's
irrelevant.
the mortgage going to be?
Right. It's the mortgage. It's the interest service expense
So
from the mortgage, and that's totally dependent on how much you're allowed to borrow and what the interest rates are. And so you're pushing house prices to you're looking at a normal middle class housing, over $1 million is very normal these days. That's not $1 million is not even some sort of like meaningful threshold anymore for people, because they don't care about the $1 million. They care about what their monthly bill is going to be. And I got friends that like everyone's buying, $65,000, $70,000 cars. Like, we're not making much more money than before. And there was a point where $60,000 or $70,000 that's a lot of money to pay for a car. That was considered very high end territory. But these days, I mean, nobody cares. I mean, you can lease a $65,000 SUV or Tesla or whatever.
Yeah.
And your monthly cost is, you'll get something like $399 a month, $499 a month. I can afford that. I just look at my cash flow. We're all cash flow based now. We don't really think about our personal balance sheet anymore. And I think that one of the reasons for that is because, especially with wage workers, like we're accustomed to cash in, cash out. What is my monthly budget? Like, we've all been asked to budget, right? So it's like, what's my monthly budget? What's my annual budget? That's a cash flow concept. But we don't have balance. We don't think in terms of balance sheet. So it's still you're going to pay for it one way or another. You're still paying $65,000 or $70,000 for this car in some sense,
or more because you've
financed. I mean, you're exactly. But because we're so terrible at thinking in terms of, because they quote the price in terms of what you're paying per month, and people are inherently bad at turning, monthly, revenue or whatever into some sort of like present value. That's a hard calculation to do. If I say to you, okay, if I say to you, okay, you pay $399 a month for your car over the course of 36 months, how much do you think the value of the car is? I have no fucking clue. That's a very hard calculation to do. Right?
Yeah.
So
and
we're no longer comfortable with like real value, like real concrete value of things that we own.
Right.
We just think in terms of monthly budget cash flow.
Because everything has sort of gone to that model, right? You can finance your treadmill, for Christ's sake, now, right? That now we're all used to, I think, owning more things, but paying less, like just paying monthly for them.
You're paying for it more often, but you're paying less.
Right. You're paying for it more often, but you're paying less. Yeah. And because you can sort of say, well, I can pay per month for everything I own, basically, I can have more things temporarily. And then it's like the idea of not having those things, you just don't want to think about not having them. Right,
because it's a win-win.
Right?
Because before, I would never find myself in a $65,000, $70,000 automobile. I don't have $65K sitting around for me to throw away on a car. That's a lot of money.
Right.
But if they're like, but it's only $499 a month, and you can get to drive this Porsche,
and you only need to give us,
and I'm like,
$4,000
I
right
didn't
now,
think I'd
right?
ever be a Porsche. Interesting.
Absolutely.
But they're still extracting that wealth from you. It's just, it's spread out over time,
and it's good for them because then they can sell that to many more people. For
is it because people's
purchasing
power has not increased with time?
I think that's part of it. I think that's exactly it. I think that they've realized that the consumer is kind of tapped out, and there's just not enough like cash wealth in the system for us to pay for stuff. So they've got to create credit. And so the economy's flooded with credit. And if you look at the household debt numbers for Americans, it's through the roof. Like it's way worse than prior to the financial crisis. Like if you look at household debt in like 2007, 2008, leading up to the crisis, we've blown past that at this point. So and that's why they keep lowering interest rates like zero, because they're like, not only are you going to buy stuff on credit, but we're going to make the cost of borrowing basically zero. And why would I say no? Like I go to the smartphone store or whatever, and they're like, "What phone do you want?" And I'm like, "Well, that's kind of expensive. That's like $900 for like a smartphone,
or $1,500 for the most expensive one."
They're like, "Yeah, just get it though. It's only like $45 a month. You can finance it for 0%."
Yeah.
So why would I ever pay full price? Of course I'm going to finance it if it's 0%. I mean, even if I don't like this recurring revenue thing, if you're going to give it to me for 0%, I'm going to do it. Because my other alternative is just to pay you all the cash up front. Why would I want to do that?
Because then I wouldn't have the cash for something else I can pay per month for.
Yeah, I could have that cash sitting in a bank earning 0% interest.
Right. Or I could buy Dogecoin, right?
Yeah, it's all fucked up. I mean, I feel like, and the thing is, this is treadmill. I mean, it's funny. You know what? It's so fucking perfect to finance a treadmill. Like, how more symbolic?
That's right. You know? Or a stationary bike, right?
Or a stationary bike. You know, like I'm making payments
Definitely
on this thing
going
so I
nowhere.
can run and work my ass off and end up nowhere in the same place. And yeah, I think if you think just in terms of recurring revenue, you'll never get anywhere. Like we're not being encouraged to build up wealth. You know, like that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to manage our budget so that cash in, cash out matches in a given month. We're just trying to avoid bankruptcy at this point.
Yeah, basically.
Insolvency.
The math will never work in your favor. Like like financing for a phone, I saw terms that are like 36 months or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't the average like phone contract 2 years?
Something like that.
Something like that. Like at least 24. I thought the number was said like 3.6 months. That's how much I didn't want to believe that number was 36. 36 months for a phone, a thing that you carry around. There's going to be a new one next year.
Well, they expect people.
But the only question that matters is, would you buy? Okay, if you had any phone, you can buy any phone you want and spread out the payments over 3 years with no interest. Meaning, if you bought it up front, you would end up spending the same amount, or you got to pay for it up front. I guarantee you, people are going to spend more money if they can spread out the payments.
Mm-hmm.
But to the company, it doesn't matter, because as long as I book that sale, and I have a recurring revenue, I could just put that into a securitized product and dump it into the capital market, and it's as good as if I sold it up front. It doesn't matter to me. Or if I'm a car company, it doesn't matter if I lease out the car or if someone buys it on financing. Once I book that sale, I've booked that sale.
For the company, is it actually better for them to get little payments over time? Because then at least they can
they can show steady flow.
Well, then, it's like if you get it all up front, maybe they'll just blow it.
No, because the company doesn't care, because an asset is an asset. If I sell you a car and you buy it on financing, I still get the money.
Well, I know, but would they even prefer it to be spread out so then they can be like,
because they'll sell more.
Yeah.
It'll be much easier to sell.
The units sold will be higher, and it's a steadier flow.
But even if the units were exactly the same, just like for some like business purposes, is it good? Because then there'll be like some predictability of, instead of getting everything all up at once, you are now guaranteeing, I don't know, several years of little payments.
No, what I'm saying is there's no difference.
Yeah,
I know there's no difference, but is it actually more preferable for them?
No, I'm saying you can't say
they
whether
don't care.
preferable or not, because there's no difference. Like it's like a mortgage, for example.
Point.
That's what happened with the mortgages. Is when a bank lent out the mortgage, they didn't care whether you would make the payments or not. They just sold the mortgage, right? So like
for full value, right? For the full value,
for the present value. I'd stuff it into securitized deal, and I'd push it off into the capital market, and I would get the full, I'd get the full value of that immediately up front. If I'm a cell phone company, I don't care if the person bought it over 24, 36 months or up front. At the end of the day, I still book that revenue today, all at once, right?
Right. So that's why it doesn't matter if it comes if someone actually bought it up front or does it monthly. They book it as
the cost of borrowing money is zero. It doesn't. It just doesn't matter. Yeah, and so I think it's all driven by Wall Street and their financing models, and we're all being sort of tempted into these hamster wheel type. I'm
not immune to it. I know we're all talking. I'm not immune to this. I don't think anyone's immune to it completely.
Look, what's $3.99 a month? What's $8.99 a month? What's $48 a month?
I can say, I try to avoid that financing model whenever possible. Your standard of living really does go down considerably if you commit to just paying up front, owning the thing.
I need to go to AT&T right now and pay off my phone.
Jess, you're saying your life improves if you pay everything up front and
no, I'm saying
goes down.
The quality of life as measured in Instagram likes goes down considerably.
That's the only measure that matters.
Is it because you can't afford things anymore?
I mean, yeah, because you're paying full price for them. So obviously, if you're, unless you have infinite money, the sheer number of things you can have goes down.
That's what I was saying, right? Everyone
Sheer
is
number of
sort
things
of
at once.
is used to having more things because we can pay less upfront for them, right?
Yeah, and this is all
And-
measured in relative terms. Like wealth is a relative thing, not an absolute thing.
Sure.
So how well off you feel is in relation to the people around you or the people that you wish you were around. So if you see everyone else driving a car that's $50,000 more expensive than the one you're driving, or has the latest phone, you're not seeing their balance sheet. You're just seeing their car. You're just seeing all the stuff that they're buying. So if you measure it on those terms, trying to just purchase things up front and like owning them, if by that principle, like I'll never own a Tesla, right? I don't feel bad about that because I don't particularly like them, but it means that like I'm just driving around in a Toyota, right? In a Prius.
which is
that
itself
sort of
not a
thing.
cheap car either, which in itself.
I
isn't
mean,
that
yeah.
cheap.
So it's like I'm not gonna like I've replaced my phone after like 5 years, stuff like that. Looking at the Peloton, like I just wouldn't buy a $3,000 treadmill. So, so your quality of life
gonna
goes
buy it.
down.
I guess things
Which
like
also can still cost you $3,000.
Like get a bike that actually will take you places. Like go someplace. Like it's
If you can get a bike, bikes are very hard
I mean,
to
I think
find.
your
these days.
your total material accumulation will probably be higher if you just think about it in terms of monthly payments. But the problem is that you're never accumulating anything, and you
don't truly own it. Yeah.
You're actually just consuming.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, like you're not built. You're just consuming a lot, and the key is that we are really bad at thinking about consumption over time, and so we just think, okay, on the one hand I have this monthly payment of $48, and on this other hand I have a $4,000 treadmill that is top of the line. I could buy a top of the line product for $48. Well, that's not really what you're paying, but it's $48 a month. And I think that the key is that the net flow of cash and goods is higher under this model.
Yes,
than where you have people going out there going, oh, I'm going to buy something for then I hope it's going to last for the next 10 to 15 years.
or like 40 years.
And I want to spend a good amount, but and then there's a competitive marketplace, and consumers actually think about what they're going to buy, and they research, and we're well past that, right? We want the consumer to be very we want the consumer to be very spontaneous and to consume a lot more than they would otherwise. Do you remember actually before kind of COVID destroyed the whole concept of going to movies, all the movie chains wanted to move to subscription, and movie pass.
They were all trying to have their
Movie Pass.
own. Yeah, they were all having their
that
own
was a
movie pass.
glorious summer.
Yeah, or like
was
their
everything
own
on movie pass.
streaming services. Yeah, they were all trying to do stuff like that.
No. Yeah, no. The streaming services were already out, of course, but the movie theaters were like, oh, we've got to do this too. We can't
Like
just
every month.
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah, like every
subscription to
month pay a
AMC.
fee and they can go see. Yeah.
Yeah.
is
Movie Pass. That
AMC
was a
still doing
glorious
that?
summer.
What do they call it? The
It's AMC Stars, I think.
oh yeah, are they gonna start that back up, or is that now?
They probably will. I don't know, actually.
There's no money.
I
in
know
that model.
they're opening up again, but I haven't heard
I
from
don't
them
think
yet.
they will.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they do, to be honest.
But if I'm a
I mean, one thing about this
moviegoer-
consumption model. Yeah, well, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, if I'm a moviegoer and I, on average, spend, I don't know, $30 a month at the movie theaters, and let's say I go to the
A-list,
local one.
thank you.
I go to the AMC, and I pay $30 a month on average. See, that's not good enough because there's no subscription, so there's no asset. I just show up 3 times a month and I spend on average $30 a month. But there's no paper. There's nothing that I've signed that commits me to that. Yeah. And so AMC as a business they can't
monetize that.
They can't monetize
or
the future revenue.
Right. They can't financialize
even if I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
so what they really
it.
want is to get me to sign something that says I commit to paying you $30 a month. And so you can now, realize that revenue all at once. Even if I spend the same amount of money, it's worth much more to AMC for me to sign that subscription thing.
Okay.
You
I
know?
loved Movie Pass. I even did like Cinemia, which was this like shady Turkish
Yeah, I remember that one.
copycat of
Yeah.
thing. But the thing is, the dark side of that, then it'll just Netflixify movies. It'll no longer be about getting
Mhm.
great movies to draw people. It'll just be okay. The theaters like AMC or whatever famous players, they just want to not offend people. They just want everything to be, like a good time. So in the long run, it would be bad. But yeah, no, Jess was right. It was a great few months. I forget how long it was, but yeah.
The most beautiful expression of redistributive policy I've ever seen. Where it just sucked up money from VCs
Yeah,
and
instead
then
of
gave us a beautiful summer of cheap movies. It was glorious.
instead
like
of
$10
stimulus,
a
they
month.
should have just given us Movie Pass again.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, I
thought
mean,
I
it
heard
would
it
make
was
people
coming
happy,
back,
right?
or someone was trying to bring it back.
If they want to make sure that people don't like
Hey, who, of course,
revolt,
we're
just give
leaving
us
out
Movie
the great
Pass.
subscription service of all time, which is the
Corn?
Olive Garden.
Oh, no,
The
like,
Olive
the
Garden year, yes,
The Olive
the
Garden
lifetime, the
pasta
yearly unlimited pasta pass, right?
bottomless.
You know, I bought
bottomless,
my mom one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
I bought because she loves Olive Garden, unironically, wholeheartedly. She loves Olive Garden, so I snagged one of those pasta packs. She's never used it. She's
What?
never
That's-
used it.
that's-
Yeah,
That's perfect. I
Yeah.
mean, that's exactly what they want.
That's awesome.
yeah.
She's
Yeah.
saving capital.
I could,
Perfect for them.
for the life of me, I could not convince her that this is not like a gift certificate. Like, no, you can go
You can
anytime,
go.
and
Yeah.
and it doesn't run out. And she's like, okay, so it must be a credit card then. Like, so I'm gonna get billed every time. Like, no, that's not.
No.
I already paid. Go eat your damn pasta, woman. Go.
How much did it cost?
It was.
Aren't those
well,
like
how much was
500
it?
bucks? Aren't they
Yeah, it
like
was like
500?
300, 500 bucks. Yeah.
Oh,
my
it was
God.
a one-time thing. Like you just paid up front. You could
Wow.
just
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
unlimited
Yeah.
for what?
No, for
was
like
it,
a year.
How long
right?
was it?
Like
A year?
It's not forever, right? I mean, that would be.
I think it was $10 to like 5 years. It was still
5
a pretty
years?
generous time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess
think
they're just
it
counting
was,
on you
like, 1 year
dying
left.
before those 5 years from a heart
Yeah.
attack.
Where you eat so
Trying to
much
profit.
pasta that you just die, and then
The government
Yeah,
should
I-
have just
I should-
bought pasta passes for people like that are suffering from like food insecurity. Just be like,
Yeah.
they would. That would be. People would love that shit.
I think at one
kidding
point
me?
it might have legitimately been a lifetime pass for the publicity.
Yeah. See,
then once it
like
got-
One of them was. One of them was,
Kinda
but I don't think the
popular.
last one was.
like
Yeah.
in the 90s, airlines tried that. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. And some
like the
guy,
lifetime.
yeah, and some guy
miles,
figured out a
yeah.
way to pay for it with like pudding or something. Like
Yeah.
you could.
Well,
get-
no,
Right,
I'm not.
right.
No, I'm not talking about the free miles thing. That's a whole separate thing.
Oh yeah,
but,
that's right. Yeah.
Like airlines would sell lifetime,
Yeah.
like lifetime passes. They were big upfront costs.
It was
I
in the
remember, like,
tens
first
of
time-
thousands of dollars. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it always
Wasn't it?
was more than that. Like maybe if it ran in earlier decades, but the first one I remember was like 1993 or 4. It was in like the Neiman Marcus catalog. You pay like $250,000, and it guarantees you like
Something
a
like that, yeah.
lifetime on American Airlines or United or whichever one that was.
Here we go.
And then they re-upped that price to like, and then they actually sold quite a few. And then like
Yeah.
in the aughts, the last one was sold for like $5 million or something.
Whoa.
Well,
Air
lot.
Pass, yeah.
I think United tried it most recently, and it was about a
Yeah.
quarter.
but those are different
Yeah.
because you just pay an upfront fee and then you get a lifetime.
Yeah. So this
That's
is like
the
an
opposite.
Those are good
inversion. Of,
deals.
this is an inversion of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're looking at the inversion
Because
of
for
this.
those, because
Yeah.
you pay up front, you can technically beat the house on this, right?
Oh, yeah.
So $200,000
At a certain point, it'll pay for
lifetime
itself, and
pass.
that's what they have
It
to
will.
snuff out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This will be
This is
like
the inverse
this
of
will be
that.
like
You can never
do
beat
you
the
want
house.
extra leg, like here's the economy thing, here's the economy level seat, do you want to upgrade it for an additional $3.99 a month for the next 36
Yeah.
months, like that kind of shit? And you're like, oh, $3.99 for
Yeah.
economy plus?
pay for
Yes
that.
sir.
Yeah. Not
Someone
even first
said-
class,
someone
just
said you can
economy
finance
plus.
your okay. So someone in the chat said you can even finance your pants now, and I thought, you know what? I bet you I can find what reference that is.
Yeah,
And
you
there
did,
it is.
didn't
There's
you? Yeah,
there's
I'll find
a
it.
you can
Yeah,
now
there's-
buy $400 pants with a subprime loan. A
There's a
firm
lot
is
of,
trying to convince millennials that taking out loans for things you don't need is cool.
There's a lot of companies like Affirm and Afterpay that, for like very small products, allow you to finance them into monthly
Mhm.
payments. And they like keep track of all of them, and They're very easy to integrate into your existing website. You
can
just have an alternative
Yeah.
payment button.
You can pay per month, be able to track your other per month payments.
Oh yeah, Affirm. There you go, right there.
This is how you know the economy's in trouble. I think
you
when
could
we're
just
starting to-
imagine
Yeah.
like CEOs or something. They have absolutely no like respect for the craft of whatever they're making. Like, you would be proud if you built like a washing machine that lasted a lifetime, but you can just see them after they're screwing us. We're getting screwed if they're able to use the past 5 years, and it's just
I
absolutely
mean,
no-
fiduciary duty now. Do you like if you are leading a company like that, who do you have more of a responsibility to? Your customer or your shareholder?
Shareholder.
Yeah. So in that case, you should be proud that you were able to give your shareholders so much value.
Yep.
Your customers are the substrate for your ambitions to do a good job for your shareholders. So you can keep your job, so they'll raise your pay, so you can keep collecting those, $100 million checks every year for doing such a good job.
This is just, when you squeeze the lime, like when you press the lime
Yeah.
and you think you've got all the juice and you look at it and you're like, I think I can get more juice out of this thing,
Yeah. And you're just
Trying to
squeezing the
back it.
rind.
You're
You're
like,
just
"I can
squeezing
get
the
more juice out of
rind.
this.
Yeah.
That's what all this shit is. It's, you're looking at people and you're like, how come you fucking people can't buy more? We're like, you're not paying us enough. And they're like, yeah, but you can make it work. Let's take a look. Have you seen all those like JP Morgan or whatever with like or even McDonald's with their hypothetical budget? And like how someone that works for them or makes this much money could like actually live a pretty good life. And they're actually putting out like template budgets for people like, oh no, you could do it this way. And they're,
The McDonald's one is hilarious.
If you're
They
making
budget
pants
in that
payments,
second job.
yeah,
McDonald's
pants payments
budget
is
in
squeezing
and
them. You're like,
giving the
yo,
second
finance the pants, And that's when they're just
man.
squeezing every little bit, last bit of juice out of the consumer.
Yeah.
Because there's no other room for growth. If we're not getting paid more money, we can't buy more. So all you can do is just say, okay, well, teen, you're here today, and how much money do you have in your wallet? And I'm like, I got $100. And they're like, okay, but what about teen of next year and the teen of next year and for the next 10 years? All those teens that live in the future, they're here too in a way. I mean, they could help you pay. That's financing, where I'm like, okay, future self is going to pay for this shit. Put it on.
Well, isn't that capitalism? Isn't that what Yanis Varoufakis says? Like, basically, capitalism was like reaching into the future to get value to use now.
That's the investment process, right? This is about juicing myself to be a consumer.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying this is sort of like a version of that, right?
Yeah,
you're indebting teen of like 2023 to pay for teen 2021's treadmill.
Yeah, so I'm showing up like Ant-Man. I've got these like little quantum teens in front of me, and I go and I can sell out. I can sell out my future selves. I don't know if future teen wants the iPhone 12. I don't fucking know. Yeah, but I'm going to make them pay for it
present
anyway.
teen does. So,
yeah,
it's very true.
So
Transdimensional teen.
Somebody way back brought up the new Lord of the Rings Amazon thing.
Yeah,
apparently
is it really going to cost $1 billion?
Why is this being made? Like, I mean, it's like the Hobbit.
They got to squeeze
already
everything out. Look, they took The Hobbit, which was one book, and made 3 movies.
No, I'm saying
right?
The Hobbit already like desecrated somewhat the Lord of the Rings movies. I mean, thank God it's like still,
Dude,
we kind of like tarnished, like exercise
because right now the money is free.
Yeah,
and you might as well just do it. $1 billion, 2, 3, it doesn't matter. It's fucking free money. Just go do it.
There's apparently like all these guidelines about like intimacy coordinators. Be like, wait a minute, there's no sex in Lord of the Rings. That's and I don't know what they're trying to do with it. No one's gonna be happy with this. And
is it Lord of the Rings or GOT?
Lord of the Rings.
Is it, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. If
they're obviously trying to copy it. But the reason why people like Lord of the Rings is because it is what it is. They don't want it to copy anything else. But of course,
Millie, you were saying?
Oh no, I just wanted to pop back to something YouTube said ages ago about Netflix and the reports of them using cheap venues. Yeah, my understanding has always been that Netflix doesn't pay well. So that's the other
I heard that.
mind-boggling piece. It's like, so if they're not paying the creators and the people who work on this stuff well, then who the hell is making all of this money? Where is it going?
Is it going to like the big name people? Like I notice a lot of really high priced people get associated with these projects. So is
Like the
that
stars
is that
or
who's
A-list
getting, like-
directors or whatever, but the producers, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I don't know what, Netflix does with, so what is this $1 billion project? Is that Lord of the Rings? Is that a series?
Yeah, I think
gonna
it's a series.
It's a series. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be really curious I'm going to do some research on this because I want to know what they use the money on.
Is it for multiple
I want you to
seasons?
shake some money out the Netflix tree, Millie. That's what I want for you.
Well, I'm thinking about
but
trying to
then
do
it would
that
have
too.
to be on Netflix. And
Well, I don't care. But
don't know
if they
if
can
I'd be
give me
okay with
15
that.
millions to do a show with my brother and I,
Hey,
I'll
here's a
take it.
practical question: like, who owns like the master reel? If you make something for Netflix, like unless you like record it on like, could they just like take it away from you and be like, yeah,
No, they own it. They
Right,
have
but-
to own it.
they
Yeah,
own it. I mean, I think it depends on, like, if you sold it to them, then it could be in your contract that you own it. But
like, would they give you a DVD
but then again, maybe
or
not.
something, or
If
like
they
a
if they
thumb
finance
drive?
it, they own it.
Right, but yeah, okay. So, but where does it exist? Would it exist like in like some hard drive in their vault?
Probably.
Yeah, somewhere in Romania or
Yeah.
on a giant server farm. I don't think they're backing it up to like physical media the way they did with film.
Thanks, yes, appreciate it.
So like, could an EMP attack just like
Don't hold
wipe
your
out
breath.
the entire Netflix
Yes, it
library
could.
forever?
Or just like a bad
Yes, it
fire,
could.
right? Wasn't like didn't Warner Brothers
Yeah.
or some record company
Yeah,
had like
that
a
was
fire?
it. Yeah.
And just all
I
the
mean, there's, like,
masters
I know-
were gone.
If they remade
I know
Fight
there's,
Club
like,
for the
film
modern
making.
era, that would be Operation
Yeah.
whatever.
Just blow up the AW.
Operation Mayhem would be to
Yeah.
just like wipe all the Netflix streaming servers, and then no one
Actually,
would
I
have to
still
watch
think
that
it would
shit
be
anymore, and then
Predators.
everyone would go out and play in the outdoors.
outside.
Operation Mayhem would still be the credit card companies.
Yeah,
It would still
that's
be-
a good
it would still
choice.
be
That's a
that.
good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, just
Like,
blow up
film
all
archival is
the.
the thing.
Oh,
But digital media doesn't exist in the same way.
Yeah. I mean, not to interrupt this, but something we did kind of talk about was, the last like 20-ish minutes, opening up for any questions from anybody who's watching. So,
Oh right. Yeah.
we'll just keep on talking. But if people have questions you want to
That's
ask,
a question.
I'll
Where
look
does
at
this
that.
kind of personal finance lead us to?
Yeah.
It leads us to a lot of inflation. Things are very expensive because people are spending. We're blowing our spending wad all at once. So all of our future selves are spending in the present, and that's sending the prices of everything sky high. Everything from your house to, whatever the hell you're trying to buy. So your cars, everything's expensive right now, especially the kind of big purchases that people would traditionally have saved up for over time, and So I think it leads us to inflation. It leads us to things. If you are a person who wants to own things and buy it outright, it's becoming very difficult to compete with someone who's going to spread out that payment over a good chunk of their future selves. So it leaves it is a self-replicating thing because it's not without its knock-on effects, right? So I don't think it's good for anyone, including people who don't. It's not really your choice whether you're going to do this or not.
I mean, we're talking about spreading payments out here, but ultimately this is a rent model. It's just presented as ownership. It's really renting. You're renting your phone, you're renting your damn Peloton, you're renting your Tesla. You're renting your video games on your PlayStation. So you're really purchasing that box to be able to rent you're renting that box to rent video games. The value, there is no value to this box, at least a digital only one. So it's really just converting everything to a rent model. I think that would be the next iteration where you just kind of skip over do away with the pretense that this is a pathway to ownership and just skip right to like a rent where it's more open about it, that you're just renting
there's
it.
literally
I imagine
a store.
I imagine prices for things will dip once we cross that little psychological Rubicon there, where people are, and then at that point, then the dissolution of personal ownership as a concept or value.
There's a
Well, there's a literal store called Rent a Center, and you can rent anything, and you pay per week
yeah.
or per month, but
I've
you don't
seen
pay
that for,
any
like,
less money.
furniture.
You don't pay any less
Yeah.
money. It's not like the retail price goes down. So I don't
Yeah,
know
because
whether the prices will go down.
People without the means in the present,
Yeah.
though, all you can do is mortgage your future.
No, what I mean
yeah.
when I say prices, I mean the price you pay per month.
Oh,
So now,
okay.
like, you can still say, like, okay, Peloton's $3,000. You're breaking it up into 36 monthly payments at $48, blah blah blah. But that's still with the pretense that you're gonna own this shit at the end of 3 fucking years.
Right.
Did you just give
if
us
you
Peloton
switch-
voice?
She did.
I did, yeah. I've heard this spiel a lot. Hi, my name is Sandra. How can I help you?
Oh my god!
Would you
Have you
just have
called them to
Model
try to,
X's
buy
in stock
one? And
today?
that's so funny.
Do you want to do
What?
something to love your? Do you love yourself? Do you want to do something nice
Yeah.
for yourself? Do you think you deserve the best, or do you think you
Don't you
deserve
think you
shit? 'Cause
deserve
if you think
this?
You deserve best. You
Yeah.
should do a Peloton.
We have amazing Model
hate yourself?
X's in stock. Cherry red. They're amazing.
Oh, the Tesla voice. Oh my god!
There's an app that I have used on my Mac. It's just like a mail management app, and you originally just buy it once, right? And you could get all the updates. And recently, when they switched from major versions from 3 to 4, they implemented a subscription model. And so even if you had bought it full price in the past, you were now subjected to the subscription model anyway.
It's like fucking Microsoft Office.
Yeah, and a lot of people
Oh yeah,
were
that's
really
the other
upset about
thing.
it.
Is like Microsoft Office
Yeah,
is a
Adobe.
subscription model.
It's
The
worse 'cause you
Creative Cloud
bought
from
it with the
Adobe. I
expectation you
remember.
could use it forever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then they're just bringing it on you and changing the terms of the contract.
This is
Yeah.
this is a kind of feudalism.
Oh,
right?
see, it's so insidious. Like, okay, so I have Adobe Creative Cloud, like the actual disk. This is like from way back, like 10 years ago. You can't even install that on newer Macs.
Really?
It will
Oh,
just
shit.
say you cannot install. It's
There you
not
go.
it's not an OS
it's-
conflict. It's Mac to Mac.
'Cause
it'll
it
just
phoned
come up and
home
say
and it
you are
was
not
like,
allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
You
like me
are
with
not
Rome Total
allowed.
War. It doesn't work with Catalina and above. So
Yeah. And then
Fuck
one
that.
step past that, if you go to so Adobe Cloud's a subscription model. If your Mac is too old, it won't let you install or upgrade.
Yeah. So and even with the game, right? So if you buy a game for $70 on Steam through Steam, I don't think if you uninstall Steam or if you cancel or something like that, I don't know whether you could actually play that game because
You
it's
don't-
gonna try to phone
How
home
could
and
you?
make you log into Steam.
Yeah, how could you?
So even the
You
$70
only have the
upfront that you
physical
pay,
medium.
you've bought it, you don't actually own them.
you're saying you need like a
so-
connection to Steam every time
You
you,
need,
play?
yeah. So
Yeah.
almost every game, even if it's completely single player, there's no online component, any of that. They all have to be online. You have to be online to play them. Ostensibly, that started because they were concerned with people like pirating the games. So it was for anti-piracy software. But now it's not about
That's
that
how
at
it
all.
always.
That's
That's how they
never,
always.
and that
frame
was
it.
never really, yeah. I mean, that was never really true, but like at least there was some veneer of that being true. Now there's none of that. I mean, there's no reason for it.
I
So-
think like even with a lot
It's
of
a
this stuff is just
convenience
pure
model then.
consumption, and it's a little bit different with housing, which is going to be your largest purchase probably, right?
Yeah.
Reason being that houses tend to appreciate in price, right? And you don't use up the house so quickly, like it's not like a car. But even with houses, and I think a lot of people have built up their wealth through housing, it's a little bit of a trap in its own right, because like if your house, and usually like you think of housing in terms of like you're laddering up, right? I have a starter home, or I buy a condo in the city, and then later I might buy a house in the suburbs, and I ladder up. I think it's possible to build up real equity through a house as an investment, which is unlike your phone or your car or anything like that.
Right.
But the problem is, as houses go up in price, so does the next one up the ladder. So you may be building up equity, but that's just to keep you on the ladder so that you can buy the next house. But I think that in a way, some of the fire in terms of the other fire, like the financial independence, retire early type. I mean, I think, and you see this now with the crypto stuff. I think there is this sense of like
Oh,
YOLO.
now we're coming to it.
Yeah, I think there's a sense now where it's like, I know.
I do have to go at about the 2-hour mark. Just to let you know.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll end then.
Yeah.
We'll end in
we
15
could
minutes.
talk about this next time.
Yeah.
It's a whole other thing.
It's a whole other topic.
Millie, you got to be here for the crypto talk too. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Oh,
have 10, so we
absolutely.
don't have to boot any of us
Let's
out.
get a
Sorry,
sneak
we can all
peek.
just
Let's get
have
a
more
sneak
Be a
peek.
party.
What's the deal with the crypto?
Yes. Yeah. Come on, team.
Always
Lay it on
happens.
us.
No, I'm
just saying, I mean, crypto-
call us degenerates.
Okay, crypto without a doubt is a pump and dump scheme. I mean, there's
definitely.
it's not creating any wealth. We know that for a fact. Like Bitcoin, Doge, or whatever. There's no difference between Dogecoin and Bitcoin. They're the same thing. And fundamentally speaking, these are not technologies that create wealth, right? These are just ways for people to mark ownership. And so all the wealth that you gain, if I can make money through Bitcoin, all it is I'm taking from people who've bought it, other people who have put money into Bitcoin. I'm taking their money when I sell it. That's all it is. It's just a redistribution of wealth is all Bitcoin is all Dogecoin is. And I don't think there's any way to finesse that truth about crypto. And I think most people understand this. And I think what's going on now is it's kind of scary, but I think it's in a way some people realizing that you've got to get in on the scam now. And I saw this with GameStop, how aware people were that this was a scam. But in this case, it was like, oh, but we're scamming the big boys, right? This time we're scamming the hedge funds. There's a little bit with crypto too, but I think crypto is a little bit more like we're scamming the new people who think if you buy in at $50,000, you're still going to make a lot of money because it's going to go to 200 or whatever, right?
Right.
Ah, shit, maybe it will. I don't know. Can you find that many new buyers? That's the question. But I think it's a mentality now of people that it's basically like, I'm never going to make it just through work.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there's a good scam going on, I better get in on that scam now. I don't know if people really think that the future is going to be Bitcoin or whatever, but I know that people see that there's a lot of money to be made now and that work doesn't really pay off very much. So I don't blame people for wanting to get in on it because work is it's so devalued. I mean, the most devalued thing of all is your labor. Right. So I think there's that's the YOLO aspect to crypto. And it's very sad. I don't know. Watching Elon Musk go on SNL pumping Dogecoin, like people are going to lose money. Do you understand that? Like there's like naive people who are going to put a lot of money into this stuff and they lost their shirts yesterday or whenever that shit happened because it dropped by 30%. I mean, literally someone lost a lot of money. Like people lost a lot of money. And it's always the most naive ones who do it.
Right. Because they're going to sell it.
Jail.
Because they're going to sell it instead of hold on to it, right?
Well, there's someone owns a shitload of Dogecoin and they didn't expect it to be worth anything. And of course they're going to try and sell when there's maximum amount of hype to take all the new money coming in because of SNL, because of Elon Musk.
Of course, but I'm saying the people who might have bought in at that height and then it drops 30%, they're the
most naive people.
Right, and they're going to be like, oh my God, I lost all this money, and they're going to sell and actually lose the money, and they should probably just hold on to it.
No, you should not hold on to it. You should just get out. Don't buy it. Don't hold it.
Well, don't buy it. But I mean, if you bought into it at whatever its height, are you gonna you want to realize that
hold
loss?
it, you got to operate it like an MLM. Meaning, okay, fine, hold it, but you've got to find 3 or 4 new buyers to come in to get you out.
Of course. But because that's a scam. It's a
pump it. You got to pump it. If you bought in late,
Elon
you
should be in
go
jail
on Twitter
right
now. Hashtag Doge to the moon or whatever the fuck.
Right, but I mean, Elon doing that on SNL used to be completely illegal. I mean, no one would have dared to do that before. But now nothing's gonna happen to him.
It's a Shiba Inu themed shitcoin.
Yeah. But nothing's gonna happen to him. But no one would have gone on SNL and done it that nakedly before. I mean, anyway.
You have to be Paul Bettany in Margin Call. You got to be sweet talking everyone on the phone before 12 p.m.
And
everyone's gonna hate you.
You've got to be slick about it. Okay, you got to get in early and get out. You don't want to be left holding the bag. The only question is when is it going to stop attracting new buyers? That's the key. And they're pumping the shit out of it. And now it's like the banks are doing it. Like they're like fucking JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs actually have Bitcoin desks now. I'm like, this is fucking insane. What are you doing? This is insane. but that's a pump and dump. You know, you got to attract new buyers, and that means making it seem more legitimate. Having Michael fucking Saylor, the guy who caused the fucking first.com crash, he's now coming. Oh, we're good. MicroStrategy is going to. They're turning Tesla, which is already an overpumped stock, into an investment company to hold Bitcoin. This is not good. This is a problem.
It's like it's classic boiler room, right?
Yeah, where's the wealth coming from? What kind of wealth is Bitcoin creating? None. It's not creating anything. It's just you're just shifting money from buyers to sellers. I don't know what other way to think about this. I don't, you know. I guess there's this whole theory about. See, this is why we shouldn't have gotten into it. We'll get into it next time.
Well, we'll get into it when we're going to announce the
This is a
tarot
longer
pill coin,
conversation.
right?
Yeah, it's a much longer conversation.
We're going to
I'm very
announce tarot.
Ethereum, though.
We're gonna announce
You're
tarot
talking about
coin.
Ethereum?
So you can.
Crypto. There's going to be a lot of pain around crypto.
Jong, what did you say about Ethereum?
Oh yeah, it's just, are you guys going to talk about Ethereum?
What's the difference?
What's the
difference
I have a
between
lot to
one
say.
flavor
There is a
of
difference.
Bitcoin versus
There is a
another?
difference.
Yeah. Oh, see, that's why.
Well,
There is a
Ethereum is connected to a network.
But aren't they all?
Ethereum is a more generalized version of.
Yeah,
Bitcoin,
I mean-
okay, fine.
So
But Ethereum, the cryptocurrency,
But isn't
it's a
Doge
similar
built
mining
off of-
model as Bitcoin, right?
yeah, but isn't Doge
Right,
based
right.
off of Ethereum?
Yeah, it's a fork off the Ethereum off the Ethereum chain. Sure, their applications and their use cases are different.
Ethereum,
How
the
they are
network, and
developed.
Ethereum, the crypto, are different things. Ethereum, the
They are
crypto,
very
is
different
a
things, yes.
application
Yes,
that's built on the Ethereum network, which is an interesting technology. It's cool, but that doesn't make the crypto
And it's kinda
applications that have
sold
been
as,
built off blockchain any more valuable or less valuable.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
all pegged to future use cases of blockchain. So this is about how much faith you have in their eventual usefulness and their application right now, which there's very limited applications to it. In fact, the most promising ones that I've seen are actually just gambling. And there's a lot of money to be made in that. It depends on how it's not feeding teens opinion of cryptocurrency much, but it is entirely about faith in a kind of future.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is
Yep.
setting aside what it means for people right now, and I agree there's going to be a lot of people who get in too late and will suffer a lot of hurt based on the hype. Longer term, this to me is a signal that people do want to have some kind of faith in a more stable future that is not tied to, all the reasons we just stated for 2 hours.
So should I just wait until my salary is paid in some altcoin instead of like trying to buy altcoin with dollars?
No,
Because
it's like-
No, by the time your salary, the idea is that by the time your salary is paid in an altcoin, it will be as debased as your salary is in the US dollar.
Okay. So I mean, but I just have to bet that whatever altcoin I buy it low enough, and it's going to be the ones that wins. Like this all
Yes.
just seems like bullshit.
Yes, Adam,
to me.
welcome to the
Yes.
concept of gambling. This is
Yeah, this
gambling.
is all bullshit. Look, I've been in the financial industry. I know all about gambling. Okay.
Yes, this is
It just
gambling.
seems like bullshit, yo.
No,
I mean, it's
it is
bullshit.
it is bullshit, but people are getting rich off of it. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is,
And the
Yeah, so
question
you're
is,
saying
is
that
it
I should
more
make a
don't
list
be
of
a
the
true
people.
believer. Whatever you
So,
do, don't be a true believer.
So this is a list of people that I should, like, when the revolution comes, I go to their mansions so that we can string them up. Is that what I'm saying?
yeah.
not before you get the private keys, I guess.
No, who cares?
I
This
mean,
is revolution times, man. This is like,
Oh, okay, so yeah, it's degenerate gambling, it's bullshit. Yes, all of that, sure. But I guess the question then is it more bullshit than the Dow having risen that obscene number of percentage points over the
It's-
course of the pandemic?
I'll
It's
say
Right?
more
not
bullshit
that
than
much.
that because the Dow is companies that.
I can't hear teen.
Oh, you can't.
Okay.
Sorry, am I muted?
oh, you're back.
Okay. The Dow stocks are different than crypto. Okay, stocks are shares in companies that actually have revenue. Like they actually sell shit and they make money. Okay,
Even if there's no
Crypto-
profit, there's
But the
revenue.
revenue is bullshit, though.
Depends. Some are, some are not.
Yeah.
Amazon has real revenue. I mean, they make a shitload of money. So there is an inherent value to a stock. Now the problem is like they're way overinflated, so the price earnings ratio is kind of like historically high. Who knows what that means? But I know for a fact that Bitcoins don't make shit. There's no dividend on a Bitcoin. If I own a Bitcoin, it doesn't spawn new Bitcoins, and even if they did, they're not worth anything anyway, right? So Bitcoin is nothing. There's no productive thing there. It's a fake thing. It's a thing that does nothing except mark ownership of it. And so if I make money off Bitcoin, because Bitcoin itself doesn't make money, the only money I can make is off of someone else. It's completely zero sum. That's the thing about Bitcoin, right? If you're a true believer in Bitcoin, if you think you're a true believer, you would never look at the price of Bitcoin. You would look at the price of US dollars in Bitcoin. You would look at the reverse exchange rate because you think the future is going to be all Bitcoin. But if you're frantically checking the price of Bitcoin because you're wondering how much money you're making, you're gambling. You don't believe in Bitcoin. You don't think the future is going to be Bitcoin because you're looking for your exit as to how much money you're going to make when you go back into the real world of money. Right. So just don't be a true believer. Like, if you're going to go and scalp some profits off, these
Some rubes.
Yeah, these hodl, these hold hodl or whatever the fuck online. Go ahead. Hodlers, yeah. If you're going to try and scalp a little bit of profit off the momentum and the hype, do it. Just don't be a true believer and think that we're going into some future where we're going to be paying each other in Doge or Doge. It's not going to happen. Sorry.
I think that's a good way to wrap up this episode.
Have any
Some sound financial advice for we all
Bitcoin.
need financial advice, so I think that's a good way to sign off.
I have paid, but again, for services rendered to people who were true believers. So yes, I have bought things with Bitcoin.
But okay.
Not like a Visa card though.
Until you can pay your taxes in Bitcoin, it's not going to be a Bitcoin economy. And your mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
But how about a Tesla? You can buy a Tesla with Doge.
Yeah, that'll be a step in the. That'll make the illusion seem a little bit more real. But no, if you pay your taxes in US dollars,
is that what people are suggesting? Because I don't think they are. I don't think Bitcoin is going to be a replacement or currency.
That was the dream
it's an investment
before.
Vehicle. It's too unwieldy. It's difficult to transact in Bitcoin.
Then they moved the goalpost.
At first, they were saying it would be a
goalposts.
replacement currency, and then when that was clearly not the case for technical reasons, it can't process transactions nearly fast enough to be a transactional currency. They changed to say now it's digital gold, so it's a store of wealth, which it is not.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't even exist. It's a number. So I don't know. Count me. There's such strong. I mean, I'm going hard on this. There's so many believers in Bitcoin out there, and there's very few skeptics. I'm like, where are the skeptics? What happened to all the skeptics? Why is everyone involved in this fucking pump?
All the skeptics are like, we're just gonna buy it and pump.
Wow.
Yeah,
did you see
everyone's
what
in on it.
All the skeptics are just like, we're gonna gamble on it. That's all.
He just said that one Plan A subscription is only worth one Doge.
I know. I was gonna say
What
this
an
is a
insult.
shitty fucking exchange rate.
What is that? Like a 1.00001.
So one sub costs
of a
$5,
cent?
Yeah, I think
and how many bucks
like a
does a
couple
Doge?
cents.
What's
30
Doge?
cents.
Yeah,
Doge is like 50 cents right now.
Oof.
it's only 50
Yeah.
cents.
Okay, that's
Only?
better than what I thought. I thought it was like.
What do you mean only 50
It was
cents?
like
You know
a
what it
fraction of a
was?
cent before.
No, but I thought it was like
Yeah.
a fraction of a fraction of a fraction.
Yeah,
of a cent.
Yes, it was. It was
I
crazy.
thought it
No,
was
it's
above
50.
that. I thought it was like
Yeah,
know,
you guys are like 4 months behind the times. 50 cents is what it's at now.
If you,
I'm sorry.
Like if you invested $1 on January 1st, if you bought $1 worth of Dogecoin, it would be worth $1,200 right now. That's
Yeah.
fucking insane. But it's not that wealth was generated; it was all the
No.
money that other people plowed into it.
Have dumped into it since then. Yeah.
You're just earning money off the back of idiots who bought in. So the question now
And,
is:
I mean, the
if
time
you own
scale's
Doge, do you
long.
sell it? And if you don't own Doge, do you want to make someone else rich with your money? That's the question.
No, so I should probably just troll the whatever. Where can I go to look at all the shit coins that are out there? That are
Coinbase.
like Funbase,
Coinbase.
Coinbase.
No, not
So-
Coinbase. There's a CoinDesk.
There's a
Coindesk.
CoinDesk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to look at the ones that are like
Coinbase.
a tenth of a
If you go to
cent
Coin-
and see if and just buy
Okay,
like
yeah. Then
a
you
bunch
don't
of
go
those.
to Coinbase. You go to one of the other exchanges like Kraken, or KuCoin, or there's a million of them
Okay.
out there.
I'll go
They're
to
all
the ones
banned
and
in
see
New
which
York.
ones are like have a funny name, and I can buy like 100,000 of them for $10.
Each?
Huh?
Like $10 in each?
Sure, why not? I have $100 I can spend on this
There's
shit.
an array of
Look at this
those,
high roller
actually.
right here.
I,
mean,
I
yeah,
can
just
I can buy
like
10 of them. I can
$100
buy
that
10.
way.
The spray and pray.
Why not? If it's 100,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
It's the VC model.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, okay.
Why not?
Jong, are you really gonna say that I'm gonna be able to analyze these shit coins and say this one? I know that one's gonna like launch. No, I'm doing this.
But,
I'm spraying.
guys, we just
okay?
got this
There might be
question.
true
Like,
believers, but nobody saw this coming. So there's no real expert on this.
Exactly.
Don't
That's the
engage.
yeah.
Okay.
My
Well,
professor
like,
always brings up the Chinese genocide of the Uyghurs. Is that really going on? How
Wow.
should I
Right when
respond?
we're about to wrap up.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, don't engage.
Perfect timing, man.
Yeah.
People don't really want to have a real debate on it.
Yeah,
It's a
don't
trap.
engage that.
Don't engage. You're not going to
Yeah.
convince them otherwise.
Yeah.
Just get
If
an
it's
A.
a professor, get your
Yeah,
A
just
and
get an
get
A.
out. That's it. Yeah.
Don't waste your time. Neither the Uyghurs nor China nor America nor human rights is dependent on you convincing your idiot professor. Just get the A and get the fuck out.
Another sound advice. Yeah, all right.
So, I'm gonna go right off of this and buy 10 shares of 10 shit coins now,
Yeah, you go
All
do
right,
that.
let us know.
Millie,
Shares.
thank you
I
so
like
much
how you're
for.
it's so cute.
or 10
Yeah.
coins. Sorry, 10 coins.
Okay.
Millie, thank
What
you
do they
for-
call them? 10. What do you call it? 10 doges, 10 whatevers.
Depends what you
whatever.
buy.
Yeah,
Okay,
Millie.
Depends on what you-
Are they referred by the name of the coin?
Yes.
It's good having you too, Millie.
Yeah, Millie, thank you so much for coming. We'll have to cook again soon.
Uh,
I don't know why you hang out with us, really. I really don't see the point. What's in it for you? I don't understand. But it was good seeing you.
Yes.
You guys are some of the only people who, validate my anxiety and depression
That's bleak.
about the state of things. So
There's
no,
value
but
there.
it's
though.
not. Well, it is bleak, but at the same time, it's. I know I'm not alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're like
yeah.
part of a zombie apocalypse survival group. That's how I've always
Yeah.
viewed Plan A.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To the moon, indeed.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Okay, bye,
fun.
everyone.
All
Well,
right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.